Well, let's see. I don't know why I always... I wish I could auto send this stuff like it used to be able to. Made things a lot easier back then, let me tell you. Let me tell you. Yes, it did. Yes, it did. Let me just... that... Okay. Hi Blaze, hi Master Chief, how's it going? Give me just a minute. I'm starting a little bit early because I'm not feeling good, so I wanted to make sure I still got 3 hours in. There we go. All right, hey. Now let me move my microphone everywhere. What the heck? What in the blue blazes? We need some serious... We need some cord management going on up in here. Cords are a bit of a mess. Well, 8th has done some reorganizing and whatnot. A sore eye, huh? Hurts when you look at lights or mid to light bright things. You could be starting to develop some astigmatism. You might want to get looked at by your eye doctor. Astigmatism. Astigmatism. So we'll wait for everybody to get in here. Whoever's actually going to show up this time. We hardly had anybody last time. Hardly anybody showed up last time we put one on, week before last. So hopefully we get more people this time. Lost a little bit more weight, not as much as I would have hoped. I'm down now an even 30 pounds. It doesn't show, as you can see. It doesn't show, but I'm down 30 pounds. I don't know where it's coming off, because it ain't coming off in my face, as you can see. You know, my face should, look like this, but instead it's... And it's not coming off my arms. I don't know where it's coming off, but it's coming off from somewhere. Now I only got another 127 pounds or so to go. And we'll be all good. Now you may notice things look a little brighter in here. That's because I had people complaining that the video quality was being affected because there wasn't enough light in the room and that I needed to get a ring light. So I got a little 5-inch ring light off of Amazon for $15, and as you can see, it lights things up pretty well for something so inexpensive. And the reason that there's cables lying around everywhere is because 8th, we got I have so many different devices that's plugged into this computer that it was getting a little bit insane. So I bought a powered USB hub, and I have all of them running into it, so I don't have all these USB devices drawing power off of the PC. It's all coming from the powered hub, and so the only thing that the PC is having to power is, well, nothing, because the hub is powered itself. So, you know, it has 16 different plugs in it, so I still have a few left that I can use before I run out of room. So that's why it's so much brighter now. And this is actually the lowest setting for this light. And you can change it to different colors. Like, maybe I'll go with that one. That one's a little more natural looking. That's more skin tone. I think I like that. Hi, AKL Max. It's been ups and downs, ups and downs. You know, I just went 22 grand into debt for this brand new air conditioner that's now so powerful that even when I have it set to 74, it feels like it's freezing in here, which is why I'm wearing a long sleeve shirt. I can't turn it up. I mean, each floor has its own thermostat, but 8th he likes it colder than I do. I like it to be around 74. That's where I'm comfortable. 8th likes it somewhere between 70 and 72, and this is Texas, and he lives upstairs. So the air conditioner runs a lot more often upstairs than it does downstairs, and because cold air sinks and warm air rises, and we have this big open balcony over his loft, a good chunk of that cold air just pours over the balcony and makes it freezing in here. Nothing I can do about it. But it works exceptionally well, and the air conditioner we did have was going on 20 years old, and this brand new spiffy Linux is more energy efficient, so it uses less electricity to run. I also switched over to base power electricity, and they laid the cable work and everything for it this week. In another couple of weeks, they're coming to install a backup battery so that if we lose power, like in the wintertime or whatnot, it'll run for up to 48 hours off the power of that battery. So then at least we'll still have heat, and, you know, the food in the refrigerator won't spoil, that kind of thing. But got that done, and I thought, well, now I only have to fix the garage door, some of the power outlets, and the ceiling fan that don't come on anymore, and then we'll be all set. But no. I have to pay monthly for a pest control company to come out here and keep the ants, mosquitoes, and wasps away from the house. And they do an annual termite inspection. Well, I've been in this house 2 years. I haven't even been with them a year yet. And so there hadn't been a termite inspection since we first moved in. And so the guy's walking around the backyard, and he claims that he sees termites running across the fence from the next door neighbors to here. Now, I go out there, and yeah, the one piece of the fence it doesn't look like termite damage, but it looks like some of the coating and everything had been stripped off, like the wood was peeling. And I did see some tiny little brown bugs crawling around that. It didn't look like termites to me. They looked more like what they call grain beetles, which are so small that people mistake them for ants, but they're not. But he did point out that the termite traps that have been set around the yard, which if you ever go to somebody's yard and you see like a flat circle of plastic flush to the ground, that's a termite trap. And what they do is they put a chunk of wood in there, and then it's filled with poison. And so the termites come in to get at that wood, and then they get dipped in that poison. They take it back to their queen, and it kills the queen. Well, all of the termite traps around the house were empty meaning that there was termites in the area that had eaten all the wood in those traps. So he was like, we're going to have to put new traps in, and we're going to have to keep this, we're going to have to treat the yard for a year, blah, blah, blah. Long story short, for a year's worth of that service, $2,700. 170 something a month for a year. And then it drops to $40 a month just to refill the poison in the traps. So yet another expense I wasn't planning to pay. "8-Bit Eric, what are you doing in here, son?" Good to see you. Good to see you, sir. I saw what Richard did, by the way, and I'm not happy with him. I've known him for years. We've usually previously get along fine so long as I don't talk politics to him. But I gotta admit, Eric, that one burnt my britches a little bit. I was not happy with him. I don't care what kind of point he was trying to make. You don't use the dead as an ownage tool, especially not a close friend. No. Nuh-uh. No. I might have to have some words with that gentleman later on. That one definitely rubbed me the wrong way. But anyway, y'all should be able to see me better now that I've got, proper lighting in here. Went to all that expense to give it that nice black light glow, and what happens? Y'all complain about how there's not enough natural lighting in here. That it's affecting the video rate and all that wonderful happy crappy. Oh, and whatever he did, my backup black light ain't working now. Oh well. But anyway, hopefully I look better to you now. So, I'm properly lit. I'm 30 pounds lighter than I was at the start of May. No, start of April. It's been 2.5 months. So start of May, 30 pounds lost, 127 pounds to go. And then I'll be at my target weight. And the first thing I'm going to do when I hit my target weight is I'm going to go either to the Wilson Leather Company or a local bike shop, and I'm going to buy me a black leather cycle jacket size XL. Because I haven't been able to fit in a cycle jacket for years. I've always felt most natural in a cycle jacket. And so I've spent the last 10 plus years having to wear fat guy clothes instead of the clothes that I feel normal in, Is what it is. But anyway, if you're still in here, Eric, I appreciate you coming by. Always good to see you. But we're going to get to the topics here in about 10 minutes. So if y'all just want to shoot the shit for a second, we can do that. If you heard the news about Sony withdrawing the single-player PlayStation games from PC, well, they weren't making any money off of it anyway. They were selling maybe, 1.5 million copies, if that. So it's not like they made a tremendous amount of money off of it. It is like Valve withdrawing, What did Richard do? Well, go watch Eric's video, and that'll explain what Richard did. It's all about the downfall of review tech due to lolcow like Chris Chan. Well, fair statement. Rich brought that on himself when he started doing stupid shit to gain attention. Like, talking to a ceramic rooster and taking his shirt off and stroking his moobs on camera and that kind of stupid crap. Doing streams drunk, doing streams high. He left himself open to be turned into a lolcow by doing that kind of stuff on his stream. I'll tell you right now, even when I get down to 200 pounds, when I hit my target weight, you will never see me on stream half naked. That's just not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. Because you know what you're going to see? You're going to see a manly, hairy chest and a whole bunch of stretch marks from when I got so fat. That's all. That's what you're going to see. And y'all don't want to see that. You know you don't. Even if I grew a six-pack, it'd be a six-pack covered in stretch mark scars, like I've been pregnant. You don't want to see that. So no, I will never do that. Never will you see me shirtless on stream, or anywhere else for that matter. Never. Not going to happen. Now, I've had some people complain, why don't you turn your arcade cabinet on when you're streaming and just set it on demo mode or something? Well, because the screen on it is so bright that on the camera you can't see what's on the screen anyway. You can't see it. I've watched footage of me when I did turn it on. It's too bright. It's too bright. Now, maybe I could turn the marquee on, light up the 7th arcade on the top there, but that's about it. That's about it. Big Boy Jones, what's up, broski? Not much, Coacheese. What's up with you? Let's see here. Richard is scum. No one should be cool with him. His point was also moot. I never said a thing about people needing health care. Well, it's not. I'm not at all cool with what he's been doing lately and what he said. All I'm saying is that I've never gotten into a big beef with him myself. We've always gotten along, except for this one time where he asked to interview me about the console war, and he filmed the entire interview, and he was like, "Whoops, the microphone wasn't recording. Oh well." And instead of refilming it, he just dropped it. Which, I wasted all that time recording that, and he didn't use it. Now, later on down the line, he made it up to me because we had this big group live stream about the history of the console wars, and it had him, and it had me, and it had Solid Rev, and it had Black Bond, and it had General MLD on it, all on one stream. So he eventually made it up to me, But still, some of the stuff that he gets up to, and then he plays victim about it. He does some of this stuff on his stream, like, streaming drunk, streaming stoned, taking his shirt off, playing with his man titties. That kind of, I don't get it. I don't get it. My first game was Duck Hunt on the NES. What was yours, Seven? My first game was Pong. I was about 2.5, 3 years old, I think. Maybe a little older. And my dad was a policeman, as you know. My cousins, their dad was a fireman, and he made a little bit more money than my dad did. So they were always getting the new hotness technology before me. And so for the first several years of my life, all of my gaming was hand-me-down. Every time they got something new, I'd get their old stuff. So they got a Radio Shack Pong clone. And I came over to their house, and I can remember sitting in front of the TV in my uncle's bedroom playing Pong. Well, they eventually got an Atari 2600, and no, first they got a Fairchild Channel F. Then they got an Atari 2600, but when they got the Fairchild, I got the Pong. I never did, and then I got the Fairchild, and then by then they had two systems at once. They had the 2600 and the Magnavox Odyssey 2. I never got either of those, and eventually, for Christmas of 1983, I got an Atari for Christmas. Right, yeah, the Christmas of the Great American video game crash was when I got an Atari 2600 for Christmas. They got a ColecoVision either that year or the year before. I can't remember which. But I got an Atari, and the reason I asked for an Atari instead of a ColecoVision was because all my friends in the neighborhood had a 2600. So that's how that happened. And then a month later, after Christmas, I went to go spend my birthday money. And that's what I was telling you about before, many years before, that I walked into the Hills department store, which no longer exists, and right up front at the cash registers, big square bargain bins this high, full of brand new sealed 2600 games. And I had $25 on me. I walked out of there with 100 Atari cards because they were on sale for 25 cents a piece. I raked in. But I didn't get another system till years later, because after that, in 1986, my dad bought me my first computer, which he, of course, because it's my dad, he bought it on clearance at the Radio Shack. It was a Tandy 1000 EX. And so I started getting El Cheapo computer games from the Walden books. And so I kind of got off Atari and was playing on my computer. And then in 1987, 2 years after the NES came out, my cousins get an NES and they bring it over to the house. I'm instantly hooked. Instantly hooked. They leave it for me for the weekend to let me play it over the weekend. By the time I'm done that weekend, all of my money that I'm making from lawn mowing is going to save up for that NES. And also, my neighbor was planning a yard sale. I bagged up every G.I. Joe I had, every Transformer I had, my Matchbox Voltron, all these toys that are worth hundreds of dollars now a piece. I chucked them down to the yard sale and sold them for like $5 and $10 a piece until I had enough to buy the NES action set and a game. And the first game that I bought was Bionic Commando. So there you go. Let's see here. Rev has been MIA for a while now. Yeah, probably had something to do with his job again. I wouldn't know because he blocked me. He blocked me a while back. But I would imagine it had to do with his job again. Every time he disappears off YouTube, it has something to do with his job. You'd never heard of Review Tech USA prior to Eric? Well, it's not like he's a massive, super huge channel. He's decent sized. 7th, did you see the trailer for the new Spider-Man movie? I did indeed. It looks good. From what I heard about Disclosure Day, it's being called Boomer Propaganda. I can't think of anything in it that was Boomer. We'll get into it here in a minute, though. Nobody I know, from 8th, nobody I know has said Disclosure Day is Boomer, but I have heard Spielberg is washed up several times. Well, hi, Catholic Cowboy. I remember when you told us this, the 2019 Corporate Slave Award. No, it was a different one. I was on the Corporate Slave Awards, but this was a stream that was actually hosted by Review Tech USA on his main channel. From 8th, I also don't talk to people younger than me, so I don't know. From Mike the Scout, I recently got Halo 3 ODST and Reach at a garage sale. Now I have all the Bungie games. I will be a Bungie purist. Squiggles, what's up? Hey, Squiggles. How's it going, sir? How's it going? I am now properly lit. I don't know. I thought it looked better with it turned off, but had several complaints that the image wasn't bright enough, so now I have a light. How about it, 8? Do you think it looks better than it did without the light? Let me know. Has that made the quality better or anything? Let me know. Let me know, 8th. Let me know. Oh, goodness. Goodness gracious. How you like that Animaniacs and Beavis and Butthead games? Squiggles, they working out for you? About to start mowing. Hot as F outside. Well, wait another couple hours. Wait till the sun's down. Do it then. People in my neighborhood do it all the time. It'd be pitch black like 9, 10 o'clock at night, and you'll hear a lawnmower going across the street. I've been outside with my Switch 2 soaking up sun rays. Well, good for you. As you can see, I don't get out in the sun that much. I may not be around next month, going on vacation to South Dakota. No offense, Mike, but who goes on vacation to South Dakota? Oh, Opinionated Junkie donates $2 through Super Chat. You're looking younger, lol. Well, I don't know why I'd be looking younger. I haven't dyed my beard in weeks. We're having to pay $170 a month for termite yard treatment. You know, those Just for Men kits start to look more and more expensive. Just a little would help. This is the lowest setting, 8th. This is the lowest setting. This is as low as it goes. Because otherwise, you know, this is the brightest setting. This is the lowest setting. Now I can change the tone. I give myself a redder look. All right, I've got white, flesh, orange. I think I'll stick with flesh. Anyway, it is 6 o'clock, Saturday, June 20th, 2026, and this is the 7th Cast. As always, I am your venerable host, your friendly neighborhood 7th. 8th is upstairs stalking the stream in the chat. And last week, we went to see Disclosure Day. Yay! And I gotta tell you, I know my buddy Rob really enjoyed it, but I was not a fan. Talk about a boring movie. You know, now there's some people that would say that Close Encounters of the Third Kind is boring. I'm not one of those people. I mean, it's a little slow, sure, but it makes up for it. This movie, though, I mean, sure, the train scene is cool. The fire truck scene is cool. That's about it. The biggest problem with that movie, and I know Spielberg doesn't necessarily have control of this, but the bill of sale doesn't match the product provided. That trailer was a major bait and switch. Retro Code TV, hey bro, how's it going? Major bait and switch. Because what it makes you think, now I may get into some spoiler territory here, so be forewarned. I actually liked There Will Be Blood, mainly because of, you know, the acting more than the plot. But the reason I'm saying it's a bait and switch, the trailer made you think that this movie was going to be about what happens to the world when full disclosure happens for, you know, aliens on Earth. Because you see footage of the, and they make you think there's going to be some kind of major encounter with aliens coming down in their spaceships and all that stuff. And that's not what this movie is. This movie is basically the same movie that Spielberg has made numerous times over the past 20 years with different bibs and bobs thrown in. It's a chase movie. It's a chase movie with a little bit of heist mixed into it. Like Catch Me If You Can, or certain aspects of Munich, or Minority Report. Even some aspects of Opinionated Junkie with $5. I play emulators more than modern games now. I do. Need guides for those old JRPGs? I recently beat Breath of Fire 3. I recently picked up Breath of Fire 3 at Retropalooza. Thank you for the $5. I forgot to give you a dollar bill. There you go. But anyway, it makes you think that all these big things are going to happen, and instead it's just a chase movie. And then the last 5 to 7 minutes of the movie, well, I'll give it, let's say the last 15 minutes of the movie. That's when the actual disclosure finally happens. After you've already sat through 2 hours of this movie, you finally get an actual act of disclosure in the last 15 minutes of the movie. And is it some great epic event? No. What do you see? You see them play the tape in the control room of a news station, and so you don't even get a good, clear picture of the stuff they're disclosing. You're watching it on monitors in their control room. And every few seconds, the camera switches away from the stuff you've been waiting 2 hours to see, and instead shows one of the people that works in the control room calling CNN, yeah, you need to pick up this feed, and calling CBS, yeah, you need to pick up this feed. So it repeatedly takes you away from the thing that you've been waiting to see, that you're not even getting a good look at anyway, because you're looking at it on monitors instead of it just showing it on the actual theater screen. And they keep cutting away to these women in the control room calling up news channels, telling them to pick it up. I want to know who made that decision. I really do. And the stuff that they show, it's just more elaborate versions of the same stuff that you see on YouTube, or stuff that you've read about. Like, they show the Roswell crash, and they show the dead aliens, and they show an F-18 barely missing some big pyramid-shaped spacecraft, which was based on an event that allegedly happened out in Ireland, but it wasn't an F-18, it was a Harrier jet. And, it's like just more CG'd out versions of the real footage that you can already watch on YouTube now. The only thing that it shows that you won't find on YouTube is, their version of actual Roswell footage. And what do they look like? That black and white video of the military walking some skinny, big-headed alien around on a military base? That's what it looks like. So even then, it don't look, you're not really getting anything new out of it, And then you don't get to see what it does to the world at all. Because right after it shows all that footage, they wheel one of these aliens out that they've had in captivity for 70-something years. And so it's all old and withered and can barely stand up. It looks like, Herbert the alien. It gets up out of its wheelchair and it whispers something to the woman, and she walks over to the camera and looks in the camera and she's like, listen. And then that's the end of the movie. That's the end of the movie. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. I was so disappointed. And Eighth was disappointed too. He was like, wow, that was mid. He's like, meh. That's how Eighth says something was mid. Meh. Eh. And it was. It was just bland. It was just... It didn't really even have that many special effects in it. Except for, like, the fire truck scene. And, the scene where they go into her memories and whatnot, which is part of the fire truck scene. Most of it was just a prolonged chase. And then there was stupid stuff in it where they just wasted the audience's time. There was this whole thing where, she's like, oh, my cell phone's being tracked. We got to destroy my cell phone. And she makes her boyfriend or whatever stop the car And she runs out of the car and puts the phone under. First, she throws it out the window. Then she makes him stop. She goes and gets it, and then puts it under the front right wheel of the car and tells him to drive over it until she's for sure the phone's broke. And he doesn't know exactly where the phone is, so he keeps missing the phone. So he keeps having to back up and go again. And I guess it's supposed to be funny, but all it does is waste several minutes of screen time of him backing up and driving, trying to run over that phone. And then when he finally does get it, he makes her back up. She makes him back up and drive over it again just to make sure it's broke. That's how much Spielberg respected our time. I guess he thought that would be a funny scene, but it's not. It's just boring and dumb. There's a scene where one of them is on a farm, and all these agents pull up. And they pull up while he was out in the woods doing whatever. And he comes sneaking up, and they're all parked there leaning against an old farm wooden fence, you know, the kind that's just like some beams where you can see right through it. And he's hiding behind this fence that anyone could just turn around and see him standing there. He casually crouch walks around the edge of that fence, agents standing everywhere, not 15 feet from him. He just walks right up to one of their cars, pops it open, starts the car, drives away with it. Government agents that are repeatedly and consistently fooled and outwitted by this guy with no espionage training, no hand-to-hand combat training, no firearms training. He's a nerd. He's a hacker. And he's just outwitting them left and right. And he's not using technology to do it. They're just all dumb as bricks. It's like the thickest plot armor I've ever seen. And there's one of these characters that's introduced, and it's made very clear that he is rather bloodthirsty and is fully willing to kill someone to keep disclosure from happening. But in numerous occasions, this individual has the guy dead to rights, and all he'd have to do is pull out his gun and pull the trigger, and he won't. So then they get all the way to the end, and all the bad guys are in the studio, and they shut the power down to the studio to try to keep them from broadcasting. Well, then she holds up her little space doohickey that she's had that does all sorts of magical things whenever the plot needs it to. And it turns on, and this little thing powers the entire radio station, and they're back in business. And the leader, who has been so determined, no, you can't do this, this is going to destroy the world, blah, 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 he's just like, well, okay then. And he just sits down to watch. And the bloodthirsty guy, you would think that what would happen then is the bloodthirsty guy would be like, well, if you're not going to do your job, then I'm going to pull out a gun, start shooting everybody, or trying to before somebody stops it. Instead, he's like, you're not going to do anything to stop her? And then him and all of his men just turn around and walk out of the building. It's like Spielberg just decided at that point, okay, from here on out, we don't need any more conflict, because all anyone wants to see is what they're going to see in the next 5 to 7 minutes of footage anyway. It's just lazy ass writing. Lazy. It's terrible. Absolutely terrible. Now, I'm not saying, the directing is fine. The cinematography is fine. Lighting's fine. Special effects look good. It's not John Williams' greatest score. It doesn't have any kind of theme to it. He's basically just reacting to what's going on screen. You're not going to hear no Indiana Jones, Star Wars, E.T. themes that you're going to be humming when you walk out. But it's serviceable. It's the script. The acting is fine. It's the damn script. That script sucks. Because it's not the movie they advertised, And it's certainly not the movie I wanted to see. It's the prequel to the movie I wanted to see. It sets up everything that I wanted to see, which is the world going to shit because of alien disclosure. That's what I wanted to see. The most interesting part of it that could possibly been put on film, he ends it before any of that happens. And instead he just makes another chase movie with car chases and stuff. And going from place to place. I could not have been more disappointed. Aliens equal demons, read your Bible. I've heard that, and I don't necessarily disagree with it, because fallen angels can change form. They can appear to be anything they want to be. And the Bible and, Sumerian writings and all sorts of religions from the Middle East talk about these, people from the sky, gods, the Anunnaki, and all that stuff coming down to visit man in sky chariots and shit. So, bunch of false gods pretending, bunch of fallen angels pretending to be gods. I could see it. That would certainly explain why we haven't found any evidence of some planet that they're from anywhere within traveling distance, because they all live here, interdimensionally. Toy Story 5 was good? I don't think so. I haven't watched it, but I can't imagine how it could be, because it follows up the story of the fourth one, and the fourth one was trash. They should have stopped at 3. Period. At least he didn't add a T-Rex rampaging through neighborhoods like in the Lost World. Well, that's, in my mind, that's why, aside from Indiana Jones, Spielberg never really delved into sequels much. I don't think he really likes doing them. So, he made Indy 1, 2, 3, and 4, but never made an E.T. 2. Let somebody else do Jaws 2. The only time, aside from Indy, that he's done a sequel was Jurassic Park 2, and that movie sucks. Street Fighter movie thoughts, it's probably going to suck. Just from the wigs alone. Cody Rhodes looks ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. I mean, I understand they're trying to make him look like the character, but, I would have been fine with just a military crew cut that was maybe just a little bit higher, Ivan Drago kind of thing. But no, they got to give him something this high. He looks like a moron. It looks dumb. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that I probably will not like it as much as I enjoyed Mortal Kombat 2. And I liked Mortal Kombat 2. I thought it was way better than, the first one of the reboot. I still don't like either of them as well as the one from the original from 1995, though. Temple of Doom is my least favorite of the trilogy, but still, there are only 3 indie movies. I can't disagree with that. That being said, like I said, it is my advice that you avoid going to see Disclosure Day. If you have to see it, wait for it to be on demand, because I got a feeling it won't be that long. Movie only made $100 million worldwide. It's proving to be not that great of a success for Mr. Spielberg. And within my friend circles and whatnot, everybody's already stopped talking about it. No one cares, because it was trash. Now, aside from that, the only other topic I really have is that work is progressing slowly but surely on the new let's not do that, Stevie. Let's not get into racial stuff in my chat, Stevie. But work is progressing on the new video series. The new video series is going to be called Start Screen Stories. And for those of you who have been watching me a long time, way back over 10 years ago when I was still living in North Carolina, I made a video that was called The Perfect Gaming Moment. And for those of you who will remember it, I was talking about how memories where you played a particular game for the first time and the experience was so perfect and so exciting and so satisfying that everything around you that was going on when that event happened is seared into your brain. So all you have to do is just close your eyes and think about it, and you're there. Back then, the only kind of effect that I could pull off was green screen, which I can't really even do that now because I don't have a green screen anymore. But, I mean, I know, there are tools for it without a green screen, but still. I had an idea to bring that back and turn it into a full series. But I didn't really have the software or the skills to pull off what I wanted to do. I was inspired to do that by Tyler's My Retro Life series. The problem being is that, again, cop salary, my dad, we couldn't afford to get a camcorder until I was 17 years old, and the technology had gotten so inexpensive that you could go out and get a VHS camcorder for like $2.99. And so, I have maybe 2 VHS tapes of home movies, and most of that is to a trip to Disney World. So I can't do what Tyler did. I don't have all these home movies that I can go back to show all these events as they happened. And so even though I despise the idea and the concept of AI, especially in its effects on the economy, AI as a tool, not to make videos for me like these AI slot people that are out there that use something that's called GenTube AI, that basically you just type in the synopsis of what you want the video to be and it makes it for you, including the script, all the video clips and all that. That's not what I'm talking about. Using AI as a tool is the only way that I'd be able to cover the events that I want to cover. So the series is basically going to be you as the audience going into my brain and also going back in time to see an AI approximation of what I witnessed. And every episode is going to be about a different game. And we'll also include a bit of a mini review that includes some history about the game and what it plays like and stuff like that, all rolled up into one video. And because this was based on the Perfect Gaming Moment video from over 10 years ago, I thought that the best route to start out with was one of the games that I covered in that video. And so that's what you are going to see. Now, the downside to that is the highest form of Gemini that I can afford is the $20 a month Gemini. which means you can only make so many video clips in a row, and then it'll tell you, you'll have to wait and come back at such and such a time to make more. Well, when you have a video series that each episode is going to have multiple clips in it, it takes you a while to generate all that stuff. Now, it's not going to be like, 100% AI. It's also going to have, still shots of and historical photos, and I'm entertaining the idea of putting a little cartoon avatar of me in the corner instead of filming my face, because again, I don't have a green screen, so it wouldn't really work well. It would look stupid. So I'm either going to be just narration, or I'm going to put a little cartoon representation of myself down in the corner. And that's what it's going to be. Every episode, you're going to go back in time and get sucked into my head, and you're going to see the first time I ever played a specific game, or experienced a specific console, or something to that effect. So that's what it is. But the final big decision that I have to make about it is whether I want to put it on my main channel, this channel, where yes, it'll be monetized, but is it going to get any views on this channel? Because the algorithm has me in, get view jail. Or do I just open a new channel and start putting them on a new channel and see what happens? I don't know. I don't know what to do. I'm still trying to figure that out. But that's what I've been working on. In fact, I made several additional clips for the first episode today. And when this is all over, I'll hop back on there and make some more. Because this particular debut episode is not just going to be about the game itself, but of course, my surroundings, what was going on in the world, all that kind of thing. And because of the location that it's going to take place in, I've got to make a lot of clips to show all these different aspects of it. Hey, 7th, your video quality is looking really good. Got a light. New camera, got a light. So I'm rocking the DJI Osmo 4 Pro action camera in webcam mode. Only downside to that is when you're streaming with it, the thing gets pretty hot. Gets pretty hot. But as long as you don't have the battery plugged into it, it won't overheat. And then I got this little $15 light off Amazon, which seems to be working perfectly fine. You guys, for whatever reason, or some of you, didn't like just having the whole stream bathed in black light, so I did this. 7th launching his VTuber arc. No, it's not going to be like, some little anime version of me moving around and stuff. It's more like the YouTubers that just like put a cartoon version of themselves on the screen, and when they have to express a different emotion, you just get a different pic expressing that emotion. That's what it's going to be if I choose to do it. I haven't made up my mind yet. That might make it too cluttered, because I already have over in the other corner, I have a little watermark that's the new version of my 7th logo, and I have it over in the corner covering up that stupid little Gemini diamond watermark, because I've tried out several of these different AI apps that's supposed to remove that AI watermark, and all it does is it makes a squiggly little box where the watermark used to be, so it's just as distracting. And so I was like, screw this, I'll just make my own watermark, and I took the newest version of my 7th logo and I put it right over where that little Gemini watermark is. So I'm already going to have one thing over in the corner. Don't know if I want to put myself over in the other corner and make things too cluttered. And plus, I run the risk of that making my videos seem like a ripoff of Archimedes 123, if any of you old-timers remember him. But anyway, you're going to see AI approximations of my childhood. And so each one of these videos is going to be a sort of short form documentary about a game that I played for the first time, where I saw it, when I saw it, who I was with, what was going on in the world at the time, the sights, the smells, all of it is going to be in the video. I'm going to, with the limited tools that I have, I'm going to do my best to put you right into my brain, right into my memories, and see it for yourself. Now, obviously, it's AI, so you're going to see weird little discrepancies in the video, like a poster on the wall suddenly turning into a different poster and stuff like that. But, you know, like I said, this video series is going to involve time travel, so as far as I'm concerned, that's just weird anomalies that's being caused by the time travel effect. There you go. But anyway, that's pretty much everything that I had as far as topics. I knocked it all out in 30 minutes. And no, I'm not showing you any of the clips that I made because that'll spoil the surprise. I already teased the rough draft that I had for the intro. That was enough. So you're going to have to wait for the show to debut. You're going to have to wait for the show to debut to see what I've been working on. AVGN. Well, that's another thing, Winston. You know, I made a whole 12 videos of DBTS back in December. Hardly anybody watched them. So the DBTS series is pretty much dead too because nobody wants to watch it. Nowadays, I'm lucky if I get 1,000 views on anything. My game room tour that I posted back sometime last year. Normally, I could count on at least getting somewhere between 2,000 to 5,000 views on a game room tour. I still haven't even broken 1,000 yet. It's at like 971. Meanwhile, there's channels that out there that have far fewer subs than me, far fewer total views than me that post game room tours, 14,000, 15,000 views. What's up with that? It's the algorithm. I'm in algorithm jail. That's why I'm wondering if it would be better just to create a whole new dedicated channel for this series instead of putting it on here. How the AI clips come out? Pretty good so far. Pretty good. I owe a debt of thanks to Josh because he's been helping me with how to do this stuff. He'd already been playing with this stuff for a while. Josh not only clued me in on how to get in on Gemini, but he also clued me into a new video editing service called Filmora, because all I had on here was a 12-year-old version of Sony Vegas. And this Filmora thing seems to be just what the doctor ordered. I haven't paid for it right now. I'm like signing in as a guest on Josh's account until I, can get to where I can. I think it's $60 for a year until I can get to where I can pay that $60 to get my own license, so I can get off of his license. I'll be, logging into it late at night when I know he ain't going to be on it and get some video editing done. But eventually I want to get to where I can pay that $60 to get my own license for it, which I would have already done, but like I said, just got hit with $2,700 for the termite yard treatment. So, and then you factor in the $22,000 for the new air conditioner, and oh boy, times are tough. Me and 8th had to go through our list of games that we had pre-ordered and canceled a bunch of stuff because we knew we weren't going to have the money by the time those games came out. That's what's going on over here. Never assume that you're safe. Never assume, all right, we finally got to the point We're going to consistently have so many dollars of fund money every month that we can either buy all the new games we want, or we can put it away. Because something will always go wrong. In the last 2 months, we've had the air conditioner go out. They've detected termites from the termite traps and had to pay $2,700 to get a year's worth of termite treatment. The garage door broke. The ceiling fan above me don't work because the remote control for it died, and putting a new battery in didn't fix it. There's several electrical outlets in the house that have stopped working. So to power all of this, I'm currently having to run an extension cord from that wall over there because these outlets don't work right. It's just one thing after the next that I wasn't counting on having to pay for. And on top of all that, I had to charge the trip to Retropalooza. So I've racked up more credit card debt for that trip. And I've been put on this Mounjaro medication. I'm having to pay $90 every 3 months for that. And I only got about a month and a half left, and then I'm going to have to shell out another $90. So yeah, never assume that you're safe and that you're set. Because just when you least suspect it, your catalytic converter is going to go out, or your alternator is going to go out, or you're going to blow a tire, or some asshole kid's going to slash your tires. You never can tell. No, not $2,700 a month, $2,700 for a year. For a year. It's $170 something a month for 12 months. It comes out to about $2,700. So what I really need to, the only really, 8th is more excited about the new games coming out this year than I am. I'm excited to play Wolverine, but the only other game that I was excited about came out this week, and I did not buy it because of all this going on. And that's that Squaresoft Zelda-like, the Adventures of Elliot or whatever it's called. I really wanted that, but I didn't buy it because of all this going on. See you, Master Chief Snake. Well, here's the thing with the electrical outlets. The original owner of this house had an autistic child. And so they put in all these safety electrical outlets that have a little button on them. And if that button isn't pressed in, that outlet and all the other outlets that are tied to that outlet on that circuit won't power anything. And so, for example, for these outlets to work in this corner here, I have to go into the kitchen and push the button in on the outlet next to the toaster. And the problem is those buttons won't stay turned on anymore. It's like they've got a timer in them that is broken. And so you push the button in, and it might stay in there for 15 minutes, and then it pops out, and all of this would lose power. So it's not as easy of a thing to just go and, replace the electrical outlet. There's some other things that are going to have to be done to fix this. And I have a homeowner's warranty program where you pay a $150 deductible and then they cover everything else. The problem is that every visit is a $150 deductible. So I couldn't call them and say, yeah, my garage door's broke, my electrical outlets are broke, and my ceiling fan is broke, and just pay $150 fee. It's going to be a $150 fee for each thing. What are my thoughts on God of War Laufey? Haven't played it yet. It hasn't come out yet. I mean, the trailer looked good to me. The 15 minutes of gameplay looked fine. I supported Saros. Well, yeah, 8th bought it too. He's already platted it, I think. I'm not watching Toy Story 5. 3 had the perfect ending, but Toy Story 4 screwed up all the characters, especially Woody breaking Andy's promise. Yeah, that's why I have no interest in watching 5. For me, it ended at 3, and I don't care to see anything after 3. Yeah, I would have to get a second, third job if I ever wanted a decent house. Wouldn't be able to keep up with all the hidden fees. Yeah, ownership brings all sorts of things. Like I'm paying $100 a month already to the pest control people for them to spray for ants, skeeters, and wasps. Now I'm having to pay them $273 a month to also cover the cost of the termite treatment for a year. And then that drops to $40, and so then I'll be paying them $140 a month. I have to pay $55 a month to get my grass mowed because I don't have a lawnmower, and I'm not in the shape to go out and cut my own grass anyway, especially not in 112-degree heat. There's just all sorts of hidden fees to owning a house. Every time you turn around, something breaks. I already last summer had to replace the water heater because it exploded. Well, not exploded. The seam at the top blew and it started spraying water all over the garage. So I had to replace the water heater. The house came with appliances, but when we moved in, we discovered that the refrigerator they put in here didn't work and had mold growing all inside of it. So the first thing I had to do when I moved in here was shell out $1,300 for a new refrigerator. Oh, and by the way, the garbage disposal in the sink quit working too. So I've got to replace that at some point. I'm just saying. And don't mistake it. It doesn't do you any better to buy a new house as opposed to buying an old one like I did. This house is 19 years old. It was built in like 2007. It don't do you any good as opposed to buying a new house because nowadays the quality of home construction in the United States sucks. Sucks. Low quality. Undertrained people that are building them. Cheap materials. Subpar construction. So you buy a brand new house, oh yeah, you're going to be running into all sorts of problems. All sorts. I'm just glad that I may have to worry about tornadoes here, but I don't really have to worry about flooding all that much because we live right on the other side of the highway from this big deep valley and a dam. So, water's just going to pour off the side into that valley, and, there might be some localized flooding, but this house sits up on a hill anyway. So, very unlikely that flood waters would have to be 3 or 4 feet deep out there to get up to my front door. And that's not going to happen, one, in this neighborhood because there's anti-flood trenches all over the neighborhood, and secondly, because of that big valley on the other side of the highway. It's just going to pour off the side. So that's one thing that, God forbid I don't have to worry about. I have to worry about tornadoes, but nothing else. Would you build a fallout shelter in your backyard? I wouldn't build a fallout shelter. I might, if the HOA would let me do it, I might put a ground-in tornado shelter out there. But then again, I can't afford that anyway. Thousands upon thousands of dollars to do that. What are you and 8th planning to do for Father's Day? All right, that's tomorrow, isn't it? Nothing. Nothing planned for Father's Day. Neither he nor I have the money to do anything for Father's Day. So it is what it is. There's nothing playing at the theater that we want to see. Wouldn't have the money to go do it if we did. No money for a steak dinner. Can't even afford to order pizza. Nothing. It's slim pickings until next month, folks. I got like $550 in my checking account right now. All the bills have been paid, but I got like $550 left in there. And I need to build a cushion back up. So God forbid something else disastrous happens. There'll be money in there to cover whatever it is. So, tomorrow for Father's Day, I'm just going to sit and work on my video and maybe play some video games, and that's about it. In other words, pretty much the same thing I do every Sunday. So maybe watch some reruns of The Office. It's nothing to get all bent out of shape over. Father's Day, birthday, I've never really been all that big on celebrating either of those anyway. Mostly for me, it's just Halloween and Christmas, and that's it. Never mind the fact that even if 8th could afford to buy us a big steak dinner or something like that, I wouldn't be able to eat it because I'm on this Manjaro crap. You know what I had for dinner today? A taco salad in a bowl that was only this big. I could only eat half of it. I got full after eating half of it because this Manjaro crap makes you feel full after just eating a few bites. I'm actually surprised that I'm not losing the weight any faster than I am. 30 pounds in 2.5 months, but I'm not eating near as much as I normally would. If I bake a DiGiorno's, right? Not a big super one, but just, a medium-sized DiGiorno. I bake one of those up. Used to, I could eat that whole pizza in one sitting, no problem. Now, if I eat 3 pieces, I get sick. I can only eat 2 pieces at a time because of those Manjaro shots. Yes, that'll act like a retention pond outside. I've seen those new construction homes. They're built with more corners cut than a frozen pizza, but the worst part is that the city inspectors are in bed. Exactly. Oh. And I mean, it's not like I went out and bought a McMansion, y'all. I mean, you can see this. My game room is my living room. And if you look, this living room is a few feet wider and a few feet longer than the little living room that I had in Charlotte. It's bigger, but not by a tremendous amount. I could make more room in here by moving all of this into the master bedroom, which is currently acting as a guest room. But that's the only other thing I could do to build up any more space in here. When you look at the house from the outside, it doesn't look like it's a very big house, but it's about 2,300 square feet, which is not McMansion level, but it's the biggest house that I've ever lived in. But it looks smaller than the house I grew up in because of the way it's designed, which it's deeper than it is wide. And, you've got the master bedroom's down here on the ground floor, and then you go up those stairs and you come around the corner and you've got a hallway with 3 doors on the right, and it dead ends, and you can either go left into that 3rd door, or you can go straight into another bathroom up there, or you can turn left and that takes you into the loft right above. So, it's almost like you've got a whole other small house stacked on top of what's down here. Now, the house in Charlotte wasn't like that. The house in Charlotte didn't even have a garage. So, all that was on the ground floor was a laundry closet, not a laundry room, that was inside the kitchen nook. then the living room, and a half bath. Then you went upstairs and you had 2 tiny ass bedrooms and 1 decently sized bedroom that was the master bedroom, which was much smaller than the master bedroom we have now. That's a pretty big room in there. Pretty sizable. But these rooms up there on the second floor, way bigger than the rooms that were at the Charlotte house. But because of the floor plan, it looks like a smaller house on the outside than it actually is. It's the nicest house I've ever lived in. But, you know, I bought within my means. I initially wanted to get like a 3,000 square foot house, and we found one pretty close for about the same price. It was 2,875 square feet. It had an office on the ground floor in addition to a living room, and the loft area upstairs was massive. Great big loft. Twice the size, probably 3 times the size of the one that we have now. But the owner had 2 big dogs that lived in the backyard, and they had completely torn the backyard up. Most of the grass was dead, and so every time the wind kicked up, it was blowing dirt onto the back of the house. Front of the house looked immaculate, back of the house looked nasty. And they had an awning over the back patio that had 2 support beams for the awning that were steel beams with wood constructed around them. Those dogs had been chewing on those beams until the steel was exposed. So it was getting all rusted up in there. And then when you walked into the front door of the house, the layout was almost like, if you've ever seen videos of Billy's house from the Game Chasers, it was laid out almost like that. As soon as you walked in the front door, office to the left, you walked down the hallway, and there were steps to your right going up to the loft. Well, those steps, when you got up to the top, had a banister. So you know, to put your hand on as you're walking up the stairs. We went up to the top of the loft to look at it, and I happened to place my hand on that banister to balance myself. The banister would move this much. I could lean it 5 inches to the right, 5 inches to the left, like there was nothing inside of it holding it steady. To me, that indicated some serious structural problems with that house's construction. And so our plan B was this smaller house, so this is the one we bought. So do I wish that we had had all that extra room for the same price? Damn right. But there was things that was wrong with that house that I simply could not ignore, because it was going to take thousands of dollars to reseed that backyard, clean the back of the house, and replace those poles. And then God knows what it was going to take to fix that banister. Because if there were structural problems there, there could have been structural problems all over that house. Wasn't worth the risk. And I already knew that their sprinkler system, they hadn't turned the water off the previous winter, and so the pipes froze and burst. So I already knew that I was going to have to, you know, going in, that I'd have to replace all the piping for the sprinkler system, which I didn't want to do. Meanwhile, this one has a sprinkler system, but we never use it, because there's always water rationing going on. So I don't bother with it. If the grass dies, it dies. Welcome to Texas. Are you hyped for Supergirl? I'm interested to see Supergirl, yes. I'm not a huge fan of the comic that it's based on, but I'm interested in seeing it. I think it's going to flop. I think it's going to do about as well as the He-Man movie did, but I'll still go see it if we have the money by the end of the month. Right now, I can't really, and like I said, there's $550 in my bank account. I can't really afford to do it until, you know, I'll have to come up with $20 some other way for movie tickets. But, you know, I'm going to have to go lean until I build that account back up, because the last 3 months have hit me hard, very hard. Winston Wolf, I'm in the same boat. I'll be eating stuff I got from Walmart. Yeah. For Father's Day, I'll probably be heating up like a keto-friendly, low-calorie personal pizza or something. Walmart brand. Oh yeah, oh yeah. That's modern medicine. You ain't kidding, brother. Because now I'm on this Monjaro. That's $90 every 3 months or $30 a month. I'm on Jardiance, which is $45 for a 3-month supply. I'm on Rosuvastatin, which actually doesn't cost much of anything. I'm on an anti-acid medication for hiatal, like acid reflux disease. And there's like 3 or 4 other medications that I'm on. No, like, mental stuff or anything. I'm not on, like, antidepressants or anything like that. Just stuff for what's wrong with me physically. There's no medium. It's either a 3-bedroom house or a McMansion. They'll be asking $700,000 for a big rickety house with a hideous carpet. Yeah. Well, this one is 4-bedroom, around 2,300 square feet, and I paid $289,000 for it. So not a McMansion, $289,000. My mortgage is like $2,600 and something a month, which that includes the homeowner's insurance. The property taxes split up every month, so I'm not getting hit at the start of the new year with a big property tax bill, and it also includes that home warranty service that I have. So all of that bundled into one is $2,600 and some odd a month is my mortgage. For 2 people, that would be a lot. You would think that, but look at this room. It's already full. I don't have room for any more shelves down here. Not unless I decided to not have a guest room and moved my streaming stuff into the master bedroom and turned it into a streaming room. And then I would have room to put like maybe 3 more sets of shelves here. Maybe. Probably just 2. Not that I have the money to be buying any new games anyway. Before all this happened, I bought the new James Bond game and I bought the new Lego Batman game. And then all this crap happened. And I was like, gee, kind of wished I hadn't bought those games now. It is what it is, man. It is what it is. Now, if I could get rid of some of the other debt that I charged to be able to afford the move-in for this house, if I could get rid of some of that, that would probably knock off a good $600 a month right there. That would go back towards fund money. And then I'd be sitting pretty at around $1,300 a month left over that could go to whatever. Well, at least until December of 2027 when I have to start making payments on that air conditioner. That's going to be $347 a month. But I'll get a $200 a month raise in March, so that knocks that down to $147. And then by the time that December 2027 comes around, I'll have to put up with that for 3 months, and then I'll get another $200 raise, and that'll cancel it out, and I'll be back where I was before. So yeah. Yes, I would have liked to have had, I would have either have liked to have had a bigger living room or to have had a dedicated office space like the other house had. That being said, though, the living room of that house was way smaller than this one. Way smaller, like half the size. But that loft upstairs was just huge. That loft was the size of some people's basements. It was great big. I would have to get, Eighth could fact check me if I'm wrong because he spent more time up there than me. But I would say that loft is 3 times the size of the loft we've got. And I mean, you watched the game room tour. You saw how big the loft is. It's not huge. It's big enough for a big screen TV, 2 recliners, and a bunch of shelves. And that's it. There wasn't any wasted space up there. But it works out because Eighth has his own living room and I have my own living room. But Eighth doesn't even use that for his game room anymore. He swapped everything out. I can't remember why he did it, but he swapped everything out and turned that into his office, his computer room, and he turned what was his computer room into his game room. Probably more like 2 times the size? Okay. Oh. Hang on, y'all. Two hours remaining, folks. 2 hours remaining. We have had $7 in donations from Opinionated Junkie. And thank you again, Opinionated Junkie. I appreciate it. Ever since I started stopped doing the stream extension stuff because of my back and stomach health, there haven't been as many donations. So I appreciate it. Thank you for the $7. Anyway, what y'all want to talk about? Seventh, did you like The Thing remastered? I haven't played it. Eighth has it for PS5. I haven't played it. He said he really liked it. It was so I could have the speakers up louder without it being annoying or keeping you up all night at the time you were going to bed before I was, so I couldn't play stuff. Ah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Because, you see, this loft up here is not enclosed. It's an open balcony. That's why it's so cold down here right now. The air conditioning isn't running down here right now, but I'm wearing a long sleeve shirt. And that's because when Eighth's air conditioning is running, for one thing, it stays on way up more than this one does because he has it down like somewhere between 70 and 72, and the air comes down over that loft and sinks right down in here and makes the living room like icy cold. So, I'm having to wear some days it doesn't do it. I don't really know why it does do it some days and some it don't. But today it's doing it like super strong. I don't know that I've even heard that thing turn off all day as far as the upstairs goes. But it's like icy cold down here. And so I'm wearing like, my house shoes that I usually only wear during the winter time. And I'm wearing a long sleeve shirt. That new air conditioner, man, it's super powerful. I'm a little bit afraid of what it's going to mean for my electric bill, even though it's supposed to use half the electricity that the previous air conditioner did. It's also running twice as long because, it's working double time to keep the second floor cold. Because of course, warm air rises, cold air sinks. So heat goes right up to that second floor, and if Eighth wasn't running it like he was running it, it'd be like 80, 90 degrees up there. Easy. From Corbin Dallas, Fifth Element reference. Good evening, Biggin. As a homeowner myself, I had to spend $1,200 on a new electric stove when the old unit stopped working. I had money saved for a second gaming PC I was planning to buy. Fortunately, the stove has worked like a charm. The house came with a stove. It's an electric stove, no gas. I told them right up front when I started shopping around, I said, If that house has gas in it for anything, don't bother showing it to me because I'm not getting it. And that's because when we first moved to Texas, the house we were living in for the first 7 years was a rental, and it was an even older house. It was built in 1995. And one night, I started smelling something real funny, and we had a gas line leak. And so we ended up having to call the fire department. Fire department came out, and they actually fixed the pipe for us. Turned out a nozzle had gone bad and wasn't holding it off anymore. They replaced the nozzle, screwed it on. The fire department did this. But, you know, all of us, even if the house hadn't blown up, all of us, if I hadn't smelled it and had gone to sleep and gone to bed instead, you know, we could have died from breathing in all those fumes. So that was the first thing I told them when we started shopping around. I was like, if it's got gas anything, whether it's gas stove, gas water heater, whatever, no. Don't even bother showing it to me. I want all electric. But yeah, the stove has worked just fine. We haven't had any issues with that stove. No problems at all. It was the refrigerator that died. Also, I don't think it came with a dishwasher, but I don't think it works either. You can turn it on and it fills up with water, but it makes a loud knocking noise. But that hasn't been a real big issue because, you know, we clean all our dishes by hand anyway, so it ain't that big a deal. But the garbage dispenser in the sink has stopped working, so only one half of the sink is functional for washing the dishes. The other one, you pour any water into it and it backs up, which could just indicate that the garbage disposal just needs to be cleaned out. It's not actually broke. But, you know, when you can't get down on your hands and knees to look at it, well, you know, is what it is. Here's the next part that really chaps my ass about having to shell out for that stupid termite crap. The week after this coming week, I have the whole week off, going all the way through July 5th. I'll have 9 straight days off. Won't have the money to go do anything. Won't have a dime to go do nothing. Nothing. Yet another infamous 7th staycation. Is what it is, bros. Is what it is. That's part of being an adult. Part of being an adult and being a dad. You never know when something disastrous might come up and knock you right back into debt right when you thought you were doing good. Meanwhile, you see these idiots with TubeGen.ai cranking out, 20 and 30, 100% AI driven videos a week, and they're making like $27,000 a month or more because they're running 10 channels at the same time. Good God. I'm in the wrong line of business, guys. If it wasn't for my streak of creativity and my personal morals, I'd be doing the same thing. Just building up a bunch of AI YouTube channels that's automated that I don't have to do anything but upload the videos and just rake in that ad dough. The first video game I beat was Super Mario World. What was your first game that you beat? Well, I'd have to say that would have to be the first game that had an actual ending that I ever played. And that would be Adventure on the 2600, followed by Krull on the 2600. So, there you go. That was the first game that I can remember beating, quote unquote, because it had an actual ending. And I mean, it would still start right over because it's Atari 2600, but you at least got an ending, Yes, yes, yes. I know you and 8th are ponies, but are you planning on picking up anything for the Steam GOG summer sale. I'm sure 8th was planning to do it. Probably not anymore. YouTube should ban AI channels. Be careful now, Winston, because like I already explained, the new video series I'm going to be starting soon, it uses AI clips because there was no other way to get the footage I needed but to generate it. And I'm not exactly Industrial Light and Magic, y'all. Eighth doesn't have money for the Steam sale. I didn't have money for the PlayStation Summer of Gaming or whatever they call it sale. So, yeah. Not that I'm hurting too bad on the gaming front because I got so much stuff in my backlog that I haven't even started yet. So, I'll be all right gaming-wise. I just won't be playing all the new hotness that you guys will be out there buying. I'll be playing stuff that's like 6 months old or older. Mostly older. Like I've barely scraped the surface of the remake of Oblivion, for example. I haven't played the new James Bond game at more than maybe an hour's worth. Haven't played the new Lego Batman at all yet because I went back through my library and I started playing Castlevania Circle of the Moon on PS5 because I got that years ago. I got that Castlevania Game Boy Advance collection, and I'm like, I never did finish Circle of the Moon. I'm going to go back and I'm going to play it. And so I started playing that a few weeks ago, and that's all I've been playing. That's all I've been playing, y'all. And it's a shame because there's at least 3 more movies that we're wanting to see this summer. We're wanting to see The Odyssey. We're wanting to see Supergirl. Oh, 4. We're wanting to see Spider-Man, and we're wanting to see Evil Dead Burn. And right now, it's looking tight out there, folks. Because the tickets themselves ain't that bad. It's the snacks that get you. And, you know, I can't handle snacks the way I used to. The last time we did get snacks at the movie theater, I've only been able to eat half the stuff that was on there, so I don't know. But it's $10 a pop. It's not even the snacks that's so bad, it's the sodas. Because at this particular theater we go to, you pay $10 and you get like hamburger sliders and a big serving of waffle fries for $10, which, you know, isn't any worse than like getting a value meal at McDonald's these days. It's the sodas because, you know, it's $7.50 for a medium drink and, you know, $8 for a can of Monster or whatever, $7 for a bottle of water. That's where this particular theater gets you. It's not the snacks itself, it's the drinks. One good thing is that 8th finally got my emulation hard drive working. His air conditioner finally shut off. It's a Christmas miracle. It finally shut off. It's been going all day. Finally shut off. Anyway, he finally got my emulation hard drive going, and he's got everything hooked up to where I could like stream it and capture footage from it. So if I wanted to stream like arcade games instead of the stuff on my Polymega, I could do that. So, you know, Turtles in Time, Galaga, Final Fight. That thing's got 150,000 games on it. I bought it like 2.5 years ago. It cost $300. It's like a 13 terabyte drive. It's massive, man. It's got like every arcade game on it, whole bunch of PS2, Dreamcast, Xbox, every NES game. I mean, honestly, it would almost be to the point of not needing the Polymega. I just like using the Polymega better because with it, I'm playing the stuff that I actually own. And plus, it's not like this thing has every PS1 game, every Saturn game, etc., etc. It just has a selection. Whereas this thing, as long as I own the game, I can put anything I want on this thing. I didn't set up anything it already worked. Well, you went in and configured the controls so I could get that footage that I needed for the next video. I mean, yeah, from 8th. I mean, yeah, that's another thing. I'm not big on action games as I am action RPGs. So, like, I'll grab it eventually, but maybe I'm not worried about it right now. Oh, Phantom Blade, yeah. My first game that I 100%ed with all trophies and achievements was the first Infamous. What was yours? From Clean Frame. My first platinum was X-Men Origins Wolverine for PS3. That's why I had to get the Cinemark membership because of the discount on food, and each month you get a free ticket. We hardly go to the movies, so after like 5 months we have those free tickets to use. Yeah. Yeah, getting actual food at a movie theater is something big down here in Texas, QB. That all started with Alamo Draft House and Flick's Brew House. You go there, but with that one, it's even more elaborate because they have actual waiters that come and take your order, and they bring the food to your. You have like a nice little mini table or a counter in front of you in the case of Flick's Brew House, and they come and bring you your food and whatnot. With this place down the street from us, you have to wait for your food in the lobby, and then they give you a little buzzer thing that lets you know when it's ready, and you pick it up and you have to carry it into the theater, and it's a little cafeteria tray with a plastic thing sticking down that holds your soda, and you stick that in the cup holder of your seat and then swivel it around in front of your lap. So it's not as fancy as Flick's Brew House or Alamo Draft House, and the food is good, but it's not. They don't have as many things you can order, and it's not as high quality as like going to Alamo Draft House. But then again, Alamo Draft House, for me and Eighth to go there, see one movie and order what we'd normally order was damn near $100. Whereas we go to this theater, order all of our food and drinks, and it's closer to like $40, $45. Eighth went Neo from the Matrix on you. 7th. I didn't free you. You freed yourself. Yeah, I guess so. So, point being, we ain't gonna be going to buy a bunch of games or do much of nothing for a while. Eighth is saving all of his dollary dues so that he can afford the couple of games that we actually want to play. I mean, our buddy Josh there offered us bro price on some stuff he was wanting to sell. He had some Game Boy games that I was missing, like primo stuff like Metroid and Castlevania and whatnot. And he had a FromSoft game, an actual Armored Core game that 8th hasn't picked up yet. Didn't have the money to buy any of it from him, unfortunately. So I had to tell him to, offer it to somebody else, which sucks, but, it is what it is. I'm not going to try to lowball him, and I'm not going to let him sit and hold them for months on end until I have the money to buy them. I mean, it's a nice theater. It's called the Avenue Theater. It's down in Belton. And it's nice. It's clean. You know, it's got a good sound system in it, and you know the seating is pretty nice, and you know, and like I said, the food is good, but you know, it's self-service. Once they cook it up for you and hand it to you, you're on your own. And I mean, things were already a little bit tight when we went to see Masters of the Universe. I wanted to buy that Masters of the Universe Castle Grayskull popcorn bucket, but I didn't buy it. I left it sitting on their shelf. No, I'm not getting GTA 6. I've never given a crap about Grand Theft Auto. Never have really cared about it. And no, FromSoft stuff is mostly an 8 thing. You know, he likes the Souls-likes. He likes the Armored Core stuff. You know. But he'll collect anything that's been, you know, either developed or published by FromSoft. So he's also got Ninja Blade and stuff like that. We don't have any of the Kingsfield games yet, though. Don't have any of the ones for PS1 or I think one came out for PS2. We don't have any of those. But yeah, normally this time of year, I'd be going on to the PlayStation Network for their Summer of Play or whatever, and buying up a bunch of El Cheapo indie games, but not this year. Not this year. I think I bought one $5 game. I can't even tell you what it is now. Some little indie that was on sale. Probably a Metroidvania. Because that's pretty much all I buy on there is Metroidvania. I'll buy like Zelda-likes and Metroidvanias. That's all I buy on there. Oh! So what else y'all want to talk about? Come on, keep the questions coming now. Keep the questions coming. That's another thing. I'm going to have to quit this again. Because I can't afford these little things right here, these coils. I can't afford them, and I can't afford the juice. Because this stuff's $20 a bottle plus. And a pack of 4 of these is like 20-something dollars. Can't afford that anymore either, so I'm going to have to quit vaping again. I mean, honestly, I shouldn't have started back up on it to begin with. Not really sure why I did. But I did. And now I got to wean myself off the... Well, not wean. I'm going to have to go cold turkey on the stuff all over again. All over again. Sorry, I don't know much to ask you. Don't worry about it, Blaze. Don't worry about it. What are some of the other gaming channels you like to watch on YouTube? Well, I watch my friends. I watch Joshua on here. I watch 8-Bit Eric. I watch Shady J. I watch Rob. I still watch, I rewatch the Game Chasers. I'll always watch that show. One of my favorite channels doesn't have anything to do with gaming at all, and that's Nexpo, Nexpo. He does these dark, creepy documentary videos. I love them. Love his channel. Fantastic. I mean, I know a lot of people out there like Nightmind for the same kind of stuff. And Nightmind is cool, but I just like Nexpo's presentation better. And he does creepy videos about video games too. Like, video game creepypastas and quote-unquote haunted video games and stuff like that. So he still does some video game related content every now and again, and that's some really cool stuff. So I really like Nexpo. If you've never watched Nexpo, you should go check him out. He's good. And you get bang for your buck. His videos can go anywhere from like a half hour to over 2 hours long. It's good stuff, man. It's good stuff. One of my favorite things that he does is he will take an analog horror series, and he'll basically recap it and explain what it's about and where it's up to at that certain point in its history. Because then if I've watched his, I don't have to watch the actual videos and sit there trying to figure out what all of it's about, because he explains it all. So it takes a series and turns it into a movie. It's pretty cool. Seventh, why was the Japanese version of Streets of Rage a lot easier than the American version? Because with the American version of home video games back then, they intentionally made them harder than the Japanese versions because they didn't want you to be able to rent it, take it home, beat it in a day, and then not buy it. They didn't want you to be able to beat it in one day, so they'd make it extra hard so you wouldn't be able to rent it and complete it. That's why. Not much of a question, but I realize it's hard being a collector when you're not financially stable. You ain't wrong. Thoughts on the Ocarina of Time remake? Will you be playing that? Probably, if I can afford to get a copy when it comes out, because I was not a big fan of Ocarina of Time, and that's because of the fact that the N64 only has one analog stick. And I think any 3D game, whether it's a platformer or an action RPG, needs two analog sticks. I was telling Josh I finally finished the Game Chasers and I felt empty, like emotional because of how well Billy was just loved, so now I'm rewatching it again. I know the feeling. There's an emptiness there, there's a gap. Because, like I said, my routine was, this time a year ago, I'd do the 7thCast, turn it off when it was done, go grab a snack in the kitchen, prop my feet up in the recliner, and turn on Billy's stream. And I'd watch him until he was done, whether it be 1 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the morning. If he was on all night, I'd watch him all night. Because I loved trolling him. I loved making him play crappy games. It was my weekend, man. That was my Saturday night. And of course, I always knew about the new episodes coming out because he'd always, talk to me about what the next episode was about. And sometimes he'd run things by me and like, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? And, I don't have that anymore. It's actually, and I'm not like trying to turn his passing into some like sob story for me because, I was just his friend, I wasn't his family. But he had become a strong part of my routine, especially where it comes to, the OCD mindset that I'm in when I'm working. Because everything that I do in regards to my job is by routine. Routine and schedule. Doing everything at the same time, in the same order, in the same way, from 7:30 a.m. to whenever I'm done. And once I got put on permanent work from home back in 2020, Billy became part of that routine because we would text each other all day long because he also worked from home. And so if I ever had an idea and I wanted to send it to him, I knew he'd be there. And if he had something he wanted to send to me, he knew I'd be there. And so he became part of my daily routine for, over 5 years. And then we lost him. And so now, I hate to say it, but because it's not fair to him per se, but Josh has, without asking for it, filled that role for me, in which I'm not saying that he could ever replace Billy, and I wouldn't expect him to, because he's his own person. He's got his own personality. But as far as having a friend to talk to while I'm working, Josh has become that since I met him at Retropalooza. And so I'm doing better now. But before that happened, it was throwing my routine off. So it's kind of like, for the equivalent of it would be like Jack Nicholson's character in As Good as It Gets. He puts when he goes to a restaurant, he always has to have the same meal with his utensils in a certain way, and it has to be the same waitress every time. And then if it's a different waitress, if that person is called in sick or whatever, it throws his whole day off. That's kind of what that was. Billy became that for me. That, I became accustomed, it became part of my work routine to have him to talk to all day long. And when he was gone, it took, I didn't really fully get over it and adjust to it until, a week or so after Retropalooza, when I started talking Josh's ear off. So I apologize, Josh, but, you're my new work buddy. Because Jay is a totally different animal. Jay is not someone that likes to sit and chat on the internet all day. He's not that big into social media like Billy was. And so it's not like I could sit and chat with Jay all day long, But Josh and I are both tech nerds, and so we just kind of clicked that way. And so there you go. And I have felt much better since then, as far as like my daily work routine. So shout out to Josh. And he's helped me a lot with, updating my setup here to be able to do more, and, giving me tips on using the AI software and the streaming software, not the streaming software, the video editing software. I need $60 though to get my own license, so I'm not having to, leech off of him anymore. And I had been planning to do that this week, but you're looking great, 7th. You look 40 to 50 pounds lighter. Nope, only 30. I've only lost 30 pounds since I started on Mounjaro in early April. 2.5 months. Almost 3. Yep. Now, if you counted how much I weighed a year ago, then it's closer to 40 pounds. 40, 45 pounds. But I'm counting from when I started on the medication, and that's only been 30 pounds. I actually lost 10 pounds naturally, somehow, between last summer and last April. Don't know how I did it, but I did. I lost 10 pounds naturally. And then they said, well, 10 pounds in 7 months, that's not really the kind of progress we've been looking for. I think it's time we get you on a GLP-1. And I'm like, okay. From the Ranson, 7th, I can't stick around long, but I hope you and the family are well. Thank you, sir. Hope the same for yours. Let me scroll up because I got to talking and I missed a bunch of stuff. Hey, 7th, I just joined the chat. What's the TLDR disclosure about? I was talking about the movie Disclosure Day and how it sucks and you shouldn't waste your money on it. Meanwhile, Nintendo gave us repackaged Doki Doki game because they thought Americans couldn't beat Super Mario Brothers 2. Yeah. Are you looking forward to the remastered God of War original trilogy? Yeah, but I'm not going to be able to afford it. And it's not remastered. As far as it's my understanding they're going to be remakes, not just a remaster. Billy getting sick and passing happened so fast. Yeah, it was like a month. It's like a month and a half, and he was gone. That's one thing about Billy Winston. You'd be surprised. You'll be watching old videos that you would think that he wouldn't have been on at all, and he'll just pop up. You know, people just liked him, and they liked to talk to him. It's just the way it was. That's who he was. From Big Boy Jones. Big Boy Jones. Billy was just a sweet dude. I wish I would have met him. The Game Chasers back in 2014, I believe, when I first found them. I went through a bad breakup, so their videos helped me heal. And you hear that from a lot of people, that, you know, they had a terrible thing happen in their life, and watching the Game Chasers helped them deal with it. You hear that repeatedly to this day. And I mean, I can relate but on a more personal level, because, you know, Billy not only convinced us to move here, but also, you know, offered a lot of advice, and you know, stayed talking with me the whole time that really helped with the stress of moving across country, because we were coming from North Carolina to Texas. You know, it was over a 1,200 mile drive, something like that. And, you know, having to pack everything up and everything that was involved in it, the logistics of all of it. He kept me sane while all of that was going on. I love that dude Josh. I met and talked to him at Retropalooza. I realized there's a lot of genuine people out there, and he's definitely one of them. Absolutely. Josh is the real deal. Absolute real deal. I'm usually a pretty good judge of character. You know, it doesn't take me long to, you know, confirm the good ones and sniff out the shady ones. Can y'all name other games that can come out that make other developers crap their pants and make sure they avoid a release date other than GTA's? No, but I still don't care about it. Call of Duty. Call of Duty. I'm on Manjaro too, brother. I lost 42 pounds since February. Not bad. Can you please explain to me why gaming consoles stopped making magnetic joysticks and switched to potentiometers? What 8 said, they're cheaper to produce. Yeah, if a new Elder Scrolls comes out or a new Fallout, other developers tend to avoid those too. Do you care about the Star Fox remake? 8 does, I don't. We've barely bought anything for the Switch 2. Barely anything. I think we got like 3 games for it. 3 or 4. I told him next time he's in town we need to game chase. And when I'm in Georgia, I'll meet up with him and do the same. I wish I could go to game conventions in Georgia, but I can't fly. I can't fly because it's a blood clot risk. You ever hear those stories about people walking off an airplane and dropping dead? It's because they develop a blood clot while they're in that pressurized tube, and they step out of that tube and repressurize, and that blood clot flies right to their heart or their brain and dead. So I can't fly because I'm currently a blood clot risk. So the only way I can go anywhere is drive. And driving from Texas to Georgia, nope. I mean, that's kind of selfish of me because, you know, I'm sitting here asking Josh, well, you're going to come to Houston, aren't you? You're going to come to Houston, aren't you? For Retropalooza next year. So it's like I'm expecting him to hop in the car with his wife and drive all the way out here. But I'm not willing to hop in the car and drive all the way out to Georgia. And I have relatives that live in Georgia. I have cousins all over Georgia. One of them I don't care for and wouldn't. I'd stay in a cockroach infested hotel that's booked up mostly with like whores and their pimps before I'd sleep on their couch. But I have other cousins that I care about very much out there. But that's a very, very long drive for me to do in a, almost 10-year-old, well, no, it's 10 years old this year, a 10-year-old Dodge Challenger with the economy the way it is and my personal economy the way it is. As it stands, for me to be able to go to Retropalooza last year, I'm going to have to put aside $1,000 or whatever my bonus is to pay for it all, just to be able to go. That's not talking like actually buying anything. Yeah, 8th had to drive down to Corpus Christi for a college event a couple of months back. He was not a fan of that drive. I mean, it's bad enough now that we live up here. It's going to be like 3.5 hours to drive down to 3.5, 4 hours to get to Houston now, I think. And we used to live 90 minutes away from San Antonio. Now it's a lot more. God damn. Ace of Horns now. Hope this helps you buy at least one of your wish list games. You didn't have to do that, Ace. My heart goes out to you. I appreciate it. I do not deserve that. I do not deserve it. I don't give y'all long streams anymore. Thank you, sir. Thanks, Ace. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. $1 bill, y'all. $1 bill for Ace of Horns. If you're in the chat, give him a thumbs up. Don't deserve it. Don't deserve that. Do you and 8th have any Game of the Year contenders so far, being that it's halfway through the year? I know 8th really, really liked the James Bond game. Thanks, Ace. I appreciate you. I'm going to try to... I tried to set up a Discord for you guys, for those of you who are paying members, but none of you have ever sent me your Discord IDs where I could add you to the Discord. So at least you guys could be talking amongst each other, That's part of what you're paying for. And y'all ain't using it. So it's a ghost town in there. I have hunter eyes. I have my father's eyes. That's what I have. And 8th has my eye shape, but he has his mother's eye color. I have my dad's eyes. I have blue to blue-gray. They used to be deep royal blue, but as I've gotten older, they've faded, and now they're kind of blue-gray in color. But I used to have like really, really deep blue eyes, and people would tell me I have spooky eyes or eerie eyes, And I used to love to put on Halloween. I'd get one of those foam latex kits that you glue to your face, and I'd paint it and then apply it to myself, and I'd have black makeup around my eyes, and I would legitimately freak people out. But now, this year, I'm not even going to be able to afford to go to do my Halloween thing, because one, I always do 7th's Haunted Garage. The garage door is broken. Can't open it up. And two, I always spend a couple of $100s on candy, because I do a candy buffet where I fill up like 5 or 6 bowls, and I let the kids walk up and take a handful of whatever they want. Take a little bit of this and a little bit of that. That's how I do it. And it's pretty popular. The kids will get it. They'll form a line coming out of my garage down my driveway. I'm one of the favorite houses in the neighborhood, but I'm not going to be able to afford to do it this year because I can't afford $200 for Halloween candy, and I can't afford the $150 to fix my garage door. Don't worry, Ace of Horns, your $50 is not going to go towards fixing the garage door or buying Halloween candy. You said to use it to buy a game. That's what I'll do. That puts me within $9 of getting that Elliott game that I wanted, and plus the $7 that Opinionated Junkie gave me. That puts me within $2 of it. Now, of course, YouTube's going to take a cut of that, but I'll get that money like next month, and then I'll be able to at least get that game. So I appreciate you. I always say around the house, oil up and hit the gym with me, and all right. All right. What's wrong with these guys? I'm sorry, 7th, but I'm trying to quit procrastinating. I already failed my New Year's resolution, but there's still half a year to turn things around. You can use it for I'm not going to use it for the garage door. I don't do this stream for other people to pay my bills, okay? That never has been. It never will be. All I need is another couple of years raises, and I will be fine. And next year, $1,000 of my bonus is going towards Retropalooza, and then all the rest of it, I'm not buying up a bunch of shit like I did this year, buying a new TV, buying a stereo system and all that stuff. No. It's all going to go to pay off bills to give me more monthly discretionary income. We are living in a world that kids are being introduced to Nintendo by Smash Brothers and not Mario, and I find that crazy. What's y'all's take about? They're not getting introduced to Nintendo by Smash Brothers. They're getting introduced to Nintendo by indie games that have physical releases on the Switch, and games like Splatoon. Screw Splatoon. I know 8th likes it, but screw that game. Now, they might be getting introduced to it through YouTube videos, but as far as actually playing games, that's what they're playing. They're playing Minecraft on their Switch, and they're playing all these little indie games where you run coffee houses and crap. That's what they're doing. And it is a shame. You know, where's all the other great Nintendo franchises, you know? And not just the stuff that's first party. You know, the NES and the Super NES had some fantastic, absolutely fantastic third-party exclusives too. That could be revived right now. But no. It is what it is. Exactly. They're playing Fortnite and Minecraft and these little indie games where they're animals brewing coffee and garbage. These comfy games that are really made for adults that have emotional problems. No. You go on to Nintendo's eShop and there's 1,001 Animal Crossing ripoffs because everyone wants, you know, comfy little games to take their minds off of how awful the world is. Not me. I want to explore, find loot, and kill stuff. The N64 was the last Nintendo console with good third-party exclusive. I don't know about that. You ever played Quest 64? The N64 had some good third-party. Well, I mean, until Nintendo bought them, you know, you had Rare, and you had some, you know, a couple of Konami games and whatnot. But let me tell you, it was a ghost town on N64 if you were an RPG fan, and you know it. Stardew Valley falls in that category, you know, Graveyard Keeper too. I don't play Stardew Valley, and I bought Graveyard Keeper because I was told it was funny, but I've never actually played it. It's just sitting in my PSN library like 500 other games that I bought and never played. Hey, 7th, which Nintendo franchise would you keep? The others get deleted from the timeline and never existed. Super Mario Brothers or Legend of Zelda? If I had to pick between those two, it'd be Zelda. It would be Zelda, although I am not a fan of 3D Zelda games. I only like the 2D stuff, the top-down stuff. I'm not really a fan of the 3D ones. They just don't, for whatever reason, they don't appeal to me the way the 2D ones do. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. The last time that I really, and strongly got into a Zelda game was the Minish Cap on Game Boy Advance. I played the hell out of that. Never finished it, but I got to the last boss. And I had rushed through it a bit, so I didn't have nearly enough hearts and whatnot to take on that boss, and I got my butt kicked. And I hadn't bothered to make multiple save files where I could like backtrack and go find the other stuff. So I was kind of stuck there fighting a boss that I didn't have enough life to complete. And so I never finished it. I mean, Stardew is basically Harvest Moon. Yes, it's a ripoff of Harvest Moon. And all of those still fall into that whole comfy game vibe. There are kids born in the unsweet spot to be introduced to Nintendo with games like Pikmin, Splatoon, or God forbid ARMS, which disgusts me all to hell. That's one Switch exclusive that we never picked up. We never bought ARMS because it looked like trash, so we never bought it. It looked like absolute garbage. Garbage, kind sir. Did you play Zelda Echoes of Wisdom? I don't believe I have. Pardon all the stupid facial expressions that I've been making. I've been marathoning The Office. I've been marathoning The Office. And so, I've got Michael Scott on the brain right now. Here's your hot take about The Office, right? For one thing, I really identify with The Office because prior to being put on permanent work from home, that's kind of the environment I worked in. For years I had my own private cubicle, and then they moved me to another building where they didn't have enough cubicles for us, so they basically just set up tables in a conference room and turned that into the IT office. And so we were all sitting there together in this glass conference room where everyone could see us and watch everything we were doing the whole time we were there. And so that whole office environment from The Office is very familiar to me. But here's your hot take. I'd give my left nut to have a boss like Michael Scott. Now, don't get me wrong. I love the boss that I have. I knew him before he became the supervisor of this team. I helped train him when he hired on. I've been there way longer than him. Because I didn't even apply for supervisor when the job came back open. Because the previous time, I interviewed for it because I felt that it would be expected of me to interview for it. And they ended up picking this 21-year-old kid that had been to the company less than a year, because he was basically like, if you've watched The Office and the Ryan character, he was basically that character. Talked a big game but didn't know how to do shit. And so he ended up having a nervous breakdown and quit. Or actually, I assume he quit. And so when the position opened back up, I didn't apply for it again. Because I'm like, well, obviously, if they're going to pick a 21-year-old with next to no experience over me, then they just don't see me as management material. They prefer for me to just be the, jack of all trades guy that I've been. And so I didn't bother to apply. And so my friend got the job. And so, it makes life a lot easier to have a good friend of yours as your boss. He lives up in Canada. We've only met in person a couple of times. But, as you well know, having friendships over chat is something that I'm very accustomed to in my life. So, but I think someone like Michael Scott would be a great boss, because it would certainly make things less boring, I'd tell you that much. But he, despite all of the flaws of him in that show and his cultural illiteracy and whatnot, he's a guy that genuinely loves the people that work under him, except for Toby, but Toby doesn't really work under him. And that's something that you don't really see that much in the corporate world these days. You just don't see it. Maybe he was constantly making the right decisions in regards to those employees, but he was always, for the most part, he always had the best of intentions for them. He just made really bad decisions trying to do the good thing, the right thing. And the positives of Michael Scott is something that I think the world really needs out there professionally these days. Because I'm telling you, you just don't really see it that much. My boss, I'm very fortunate. My boss is great. He's my friend. We get along really well. I am very, very lucky. And that's one of the reasons why I would never entertain the thought of trying to go somewhere else. For one thing, I'm 51 years old and I would be competing with all these snot-nosed kids coming out of college. The second thing is that even if they offered me twice what I'm making now, I'm running too great a risk of ending up going to a company that's full of a-holes and having a crappy boss. It's not worth it. sometimes there's more important things to think about than your salary, and it's just not worth it to me. I know that because based on, the requests for interviews that I get every week, I know I could make more elsewhere. I could make more elsewhere doing an easier job than I'm doing right now. But it's not worth it to me because, I'm comfortable. I'm, happy with the type of work I'm doing. And I enjoy the friendships that I've made there and the people that I work with, my teammates. So, that's my hot take on The Office is that, I wouldn't mind having someone with the mentality, maybe not some elements of the personality, but the mentality of a Michael Scott. Andy? No Andy. No Andy. That would grate on my nerves too hard. He reminds me too much of some of the people that I worked with when I was working at Disney. No. Anyway. One hour remaining. 1 hour. We've had $57 in donations. Thank you so much. I appreciate you all. Thank you. It will go towards games. It will definitely, one game. It'll go towards one game. I really want to play that Adventures of Elliot game. So that's what it's going to go towards. When you see me talking about Adventures of Elliot on X or Facebook or whatever, you'll know how I was able to get it. Mine was like Office Space, honestly, lol. I always had a case of the Mondays and I had like 8 different bosses telling me what I did wrong. Yeah, I've known that feeling too. Not at this company though. The only time I hear from my boss's boss, who I'm also friends with because he used to be my boss. At one point I was on a totally different team and he managed that team. But now he's my boss's boss because I'm on a different team. And the only time he contacts me nowadays is if my current boss is out sick or on vacation or whatnot, and then he contacts me to do the stuff that he would normally go to him for. I feel like management is always the first on the chopping block. My fiance works at Topgolf, and all the managers, save for 3, got fired due to budget constraints. Middle management is usually the first to go when there's bad stuff going on. When the company's having financial issues, that's when you see people starting to get the axe. It'll come out of middle management first. Now, normally, in a big corporate company, a big enterprise level company, after the middle management, you'd start to see IT jobs drop. But that's never happened here. I mean, I've been with the company 14 years. I've seen rough, hard times where the company wasn't making a whole lot in the way of profit. And IT never got the axe. It was always middle management that'd get the axe. Or they'd restructure. Normally, with our company, if people get laid off, it's normally because of restructuring, and they're eliminating that position altogether. That's normally what happens with my company. But even then, that's not that frequent of a thing. It happened with my department a few years ago. Well, not my department. They took all of us and split us up into new teams that were more specialized. And what used to be level 2 support got replaced by, instead of hiring people to fill our spots, because we all got promoted when that happened, they took level 1 support and outsourced it. because these were like the simple stuff like resetting passwords and stuff like that. But that's been the only time where I've seen anything like that happen in IT at this company. They actually care about their IT folks here. Now, does that mean it'll never happen? No. But I'm always trying to stay ahead of the curve. I keep my ear to the ground and listen for changes that are coming with our architecture and what software applications we're currently using versus what they want to be using and whatnot. So right now, I'm taking classes for at least 3 different applications that I think are going to be down the road replacing stuff that we're currently using, so that I can hit the ground running and be already prepared for the stuff, as opposed to, finding out, hey, we're replacing this with that, and oh, you don't appear to have any experience in that, and not have anywhere else to go because they're replacing my current role with some contractor. So that's what I always do is I'm always taking classes on Udemy or whatever to train myself up on new stuff that's coming down the pipe. I dropped Final Fantasy Rebirth because the mini games were way too much and got on my nerves. Yeah, 8th has been complaining about the mini games in Rebirth quite a bit. I haven't even gotten to play it yet because I won't get to play it until he brings it downstairs after he's done with it. That's the way it works in this house, unless it's a game that he doesn't care anything about. Like, I have James Bond and Lego Batman sitting over there right now, but they're only down here because 8th already platted them both. So, you sound damn good at your job. Well, I'm not a slouch. I'm not a slouch. And I've been in management positions before. I've done it and I can do it well. But at the same time, I'm not a corporate suck-up. I'm not an ass kisser. I'm going to tell you what you need to know, not what you want to hear. And some people don't care for that style. Now, I'm not a micromanager either. I'm not that guy that's constantly looking over your shoulder to see if you're doing the right thing. Once I get you trained up, I expect you to live up to the expectations that have been placed on you. And if you don't, then I'll work with you to try to get you there. But you only get so many chances. I'm not that type of manager that, everybody deserves a 10th chance. Nope, that's not me. That is not me. If you're constantly showing up late, you're constantly not meeting your quotas, you're constantly not meeting your SLAs, I'll give you a few chances. I'll put you on a PIP. Let you have a chance or two to try to make it right. But if you're consistently failing to meet that mark, you need to go work somewhere else, man. Hate to say it. That's the way I do. What's the best way to learn software on your own? Well, hands-on. For me, anyway. Different people learn different ways. 8th can watch a video about something on YouTube and then he just knows how to do it. I'm not that way. For me to learn something, I have to get my hands dirty. I have to get in there and do it 2 or 3 times until it gets absorbed into my muscle memory, for lack of a better term, like mental muscle memory. But so what I'll do is if it's an application that I need to learn, I'll go enroll in a Udemy class, because through my company I can take unlimited Udemy classes without having to pay out of pocket. And then I'll download a test version of the software. And so while I'm taking the class, I'm just running myself through fake scenarios to get myself familiar with moving around in the application. That's how I learned the stuff. I can't just sit in a Zoom meeting or a Microsoft Teams meeting and watch a PowerPoint presentation on an app and then know how to use it. I have to get my hands dirty, and I have to, do it several times for a few months, and then I've mastered it. I'm a Rockford Files fan, and I find it piss poor that they chose David, however you pronounce that, as Rockford in the new Rockford Files. Ain't that the guy that played Angel in that Buffy Buffy spinoff Angel? Isn't that David, however you pronounce it? That is kind of a weird choice for Rockford. I would think Nathan Fillion would make a great Rockford. Are there games y'all would splurge on and buy 2 copies for you and Nate to play simultaneously? Yes, we've done that before. We did it with Borderlands 3, and we did it with Borderlands 4, and we played both of those co-op. However, we also did that with Dead Island 2, and we have not played 1 single minute of co-op. So currently we have 2 copies of Dead Island 2 for absolutely no reason. Still rocking my Game Chasers mug here that Billy gave me. It's like I told you guys, this whole house, both floors, full of stuff that Billy gave us over the 9 years, 9.5 now years that we've been living in Texas. And it kills me that he never got to come see the new house, because he was just too busy in 2024. And he kept telling me, I'm going to make it, I'm going to make it. The next time I drive solo down to Austin or San Antonio, I'm going to stop by on the way back and hang out. But it's going to be like last time, when you least expect it. And, that was what was supposed to happen at Retropalooza Dallas 2025. Or no, that was what was supposed to happen at the next Retropalooza in Houston. Was on his way home. He was going to come up through the I-35 corridor and hang out. But he didn't make it. He didn't make it. Jensen Ackles, yeah, he would be a good one too. I need to get into IT because I've always loved it overall. Maybe not the best market to get into right now, because you have threats from 2 fronts. J-Chip, thank you for the membership, J-Chip. Appreciate you. In IT, depending on what level of IT you get into, you have a threat on 2 fronts. I'm relatively safe right now because what I do is highly specialized. So you can't really, go out and get your average IT contractor to do what I do. And AI is not good enough to do what I do, not even close. And so right now I'm kind of in a comfort zone where I don't have to worry about either one of them too much. The worst thing that I would have to worry about would be restructuring consolidation, where they decide, hey, all those things that you do, we're just going to give all those responsibilities to another team and not pay them anymore and just eliminate your position. That would be something that I would have to work. Well, not it doesn't really happen often at this company, but that's something that I would potentially have to worry about. But AI and getting outsourced to somewhere over in Bangladesh or whatever, that I wouldn't currently have to worry about too much. But someone just trying to get into the industry, different story, because the first IT jobs that AI was able to take, and a lot of the jobs that contractors currently take are level 1 help desk jobs, because it's simple work, resetting passwords, fixing someone's Outlook, really super simple stuff. And since depending on what level of IT you're getting into, that's most likely what your first IT job would be, you would potentially have trouble finding work. Now, a good place to try to get started in IT, depending on what they were asking for, would be a smaller, not quite mom and pop, a little bit bigger than that, but a smaller, locally owned company that needs like a desktop support person. Hey Joe, I need a new mouse. Hey Joe, can you replace my keyboard? Hey Joe, I'm getting all these pop-up ads for porn. Desktop support stuff for a smaller company, not a big enterprise company, but a smaller company that couldn't afford to, that kind of work you couldn't have AI doing anyway, because you have to go out to that person's desk a lot of the time. But you get what I'm saying. That would be a relatively safe way to get started. Dev is a crapshoot right now. They tried to get AI in there, but AI was effing up left and right because AI is not on that level. And so a lot of your dev work out there right now, I'm not showing my whole chest or taking my shirt off, but I am showing a bit of my belly because I got a bad itch. Anyway, dev is a crapshoot because you have a lot of that going to overseas contractors right now. A lot of dev is going to overseas contractors right now. It's a dang shame, but it is what it is. And you're not seeing, there's still a market for network administration, of course. But so much of that is transitioning over to cloud-based nowadays that network administration teams aren't, at least in my experience, are not nearly as big as they were as far as like staffing size 20 years ago, because everything's going to the cloud now. So there's not as much to administer. You know what I'm saying? You administer you're basically doing rack maintenance and wiring and cabling and whatnot, and then on the software administrative side of it, you're managing Active Directory. Big whoop. It was cool how you saved that episode for them. Well, at that point, I'd been friends with Billy for at least 3 years, and I'd met Jay twice by that point. So they kind of made it like in the episode that I was just some guy that texted them and invited them to the house. But we were all well acquainted when that episode was filmed. And so for me, I was just doing a bro a favor, I was just trying to help a bro out. Never had anything to do with, trying to boost my channel or any of that crap. My channel was already dead by the time any of that happened, Is that a rosary on that gun on your shirt? This is a Boondock Saints shirt. This is the Boondock Saints prayer in the shape of a gun. You know, and shepherds we shall be for thee, my Lord, for thee, all that, all the way down to, you know, et Domini Patri, et Filii, et Spiritus Sancti, right there at the bottom. It's a Boondock Saints shirt. Anyway, I know those movies are cheesy, but I love Boondock Saints. I think they're fun as hell. Wish they'd make a third one, but it is what it is. I don't know that a third one would even be the same, since they killed off Billy Connolly's character, the dad, you know, El Duce. They killed him off in the second one, so I don't even know if they'd have the same vibe with the third one, but I'd still want a third one. World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy XIV, Minecraft, Destiny, Overwatch, Little Big Planet, Dark Souls 1, Dark Souls 2, 3, Bloodborne, Team Fortress 2, Counter-Strike, and No Man's Sky are 10 years old soon. Yep. I am old. I am not sure smaller companies would even bother investing in a multi-million-dollar AI investment. For some companies, it would be more like billions. But you're right. And in fact, a lot of companies that were bragging about, greatly reducing their workforce to switch to AI in an attempt to boost their stock value with their shareholders, ended up, trying to hire all those people back. There's been numerous stories of companies that tried to switch over to AI for big portions of their corporate side of business and ended up having to hire them back because the AI couldn't do the job for crap. It was terrible with customer service. People were complaining left and right. And a lot of it really is a pipe dream because they spend all this money, and they're trying to spend all this money on these data centers. 50% of the data centers that were supposed to open this year have either been canceled outright or delayed indefinitely. And part of that just has to do with the technology. It's hard to get. They're trying to build these data centers looking future forward, but they're building them with modern tech. And of course, there's a shortage on GPUs and CPUs and RAM and all this stuff. But the thing of it is that this stuff, and I mentioned this, I think 2 weeks ago, the current technology they're using to build these data centers is going to be completely obsolete within a couple of years. Not to mention when quantum computing hits. When quantum computing hits, you won't even need these big-ass data centers they're building. You'd need like one quantum computing rack, and it would handle the job of at least one data center, maybe multiples. So the whole idea of these massive data centers is living on borrowed time as it is. And not a single one of these AI companies has turned a single dollar in profit. And they're investing billions and billions into this shit. OpenAI being one of the worst. And none of them are making any money. They're building for this future that, currently it's looking like it's not going to exist. I mean, when it came out in the news not long ago that so many of these data centers that were, 30% completed were getting canceled or delayed indefinitely, the stock market from data center investment lost like $1 trillion in value. It was bad, man. Not like Black Monday bad, but bad. As much as people failed in 2008 with the Great Recession of 2008 with realty investment caused by, subprime mortgages that shouldn't have been granted to the people that got them. And in the early 2000s with the dot-com bubble crash, if there's anything that's really going to knock us into another recession, it's an AI bubble. It's going to be bad, folks. It's not going to be good. You have no idea how many companies have invested in this stuff, bought stock in this stuff when they're not even trying to implement it in their own business. It's going to be a bloodbath. Get your popcorn ready. And if you've bought into anything, I hope you didn't buy into any AI stock. Because I already know that's the reason that Elon Musk is a trillionaire now. Because he released that new IPO a couple of weeks ago, and people bought up that SpaceX stock like it was going out of style. And first trillionaire in history. But depending on how he plays the game, that could come back to bite him before too long. We'll have to see. If anyone can succeed at it, he's currently best situated for it, because he's got his stuff diversified into those three different things: the cars, the robotics, and the space exploration, and getting paid to put up satellites and whatnot, and all of it is tied in to his AI model. That being said, I have worked with several AI models as it is right now. I've played around with ChatGPT. I've played around with, I'm currently using the Google one, Gemini, and I've done some work with Grok. And whereas Grok at least tries to act more like a real person when you talk to it, it can't do nearly as much as the other models out there. So he's got some catching up to do just to be able to be as mediocre as they are. To the point where now you even have people that a year ago were talking about how all these jobs are going to disappear, right? And now they're coming out and saying that AI should be used as a tool to enhance the workforce that's already here, not replace it. One big example being the CEO of Microsoft came out recently in a public announcement and said this, that AI should be used as an enhancement tool to improve the work performance of the existing workforce, not replace it. And this is a company that has also invested billions in its own Copilot AI, which, by the way, has been failing left and right, and companies that invested heavily in it have been backing out left and right. The Boondock Saints would probably have kids of their own by now and come out of retirement and pass on their legacy. Well, I know the rumors were that in the third one, the Boondock Saints would end up inspiring a movement across the country, and so you'd have these saints popping up all over the country, and the whole thing starting some kind of revolution or whatnot. I mean, it was a much bigger concept than the first two films. Whether they'd ever actually get the money to make a movie like that is another story entirely. Because that would be an awful lot of either, heavy use of green screen, or having to film at a whole bunch of locations, way beyond the budget of a traditional Boondock Saints film, if that's truly the plot. Boondock Saints is currently in development, has a script according to Norman Reedus. Yeah, but, he was saying that damn near 10 years ago, so. As long as I can watch YouTube on my Intel Core 2 Duo laptop, I don't need no stinking AI. Man, you found something you like and you're sticking to it, huh, Catholic? Wow. Not true. Elon Musk is the first publicly declared trillionaire. There's trillionaire Saudis that we will never know about since they don't file taxes. That's possible. That's possible. He's the world's first confirmed trillionaire. Let's put it that way. We're down to the last 30 minutes, folks. 30 minutes left. 30 minutes. Time doth fly. I think I've changed my mind. I don't think I'm going to be generating any more videos tonight because my back and backside are just hurting too bad right now. Just hurting too bad. And of course, because of the fact that I started 30 minutes early, technically we've already hit 3 hours, but I will stay on until 9 o'clock because that is what I have agreed to. Oh, ooh. Man. I felt that. Good God. I felt that down in my nuggets. Whew. Come on, folks. We got 30 minutes left to fill up. 30 minutes left. Come on. Ask them questions. Oh. The more you see me switching between leaning back and sitting forward, the more my back hurts. Oh, no. Any Game Chaser episodes you recommend? Honestly, there's only one Game Chaser episode that I don't like. And that's the episode where they go meet that old man that owns the rights to the Cheetahman games. Because it's no fault of theirs, but it's basically, a 20-something minute commercial for this old man to sell repro carts of Cheetahman. So that's the only episode of the show that I don't care for, and I generally skip. Because it's mainly just him dangling all these Action 52s and Cheetahman carts in their face and not letting them have any of them, even though he's given them, they're giving him free advertising for that crap, and he can't even, give them a couple of the carts. Come on. So I don't like that episode. The rest of them are golden. There's a good reason to watch every single episode of the Game Chasers except that one. I don't care for that one. And it's no fault of theirs. Some of my favorites, though, are actually the few animated episodes that Billy made. And he didn't make that many because of how time-consuming it was due to the way he animated the stuff. You ought to hear the way he actually created those cartoons. You would think he was insane, because there were much faster, easier ways for him to have created those. But he found a system that worked for him that was extremely time-consuming and overly complicated. But he didn't want to take the time to learn like an actual animation studio or whatever. So he was doing this stuff the hard way. And that's why there's only a handful of them out there. But they're all absolutely hilarious. from Brother Natural, my favorite Game Chaser episode is the one where they spot fake SNES games that were priced, at that flea market. Yeah, you have to be careful about that stuff, because when you go to a flea market, and even when we've gone to Retropalooza, there's been folks that ended up buying repro carts not because of the seller specifically. They weren't intentionally selling repro carts. They had what they thought were authentic carts that someone had duped them into buying so they could turn around and flip them. So, if you're going to be going to cons or you're going to be going to flea markets, it would be a good thing to study up on how to spot a fake, because you will run into them from time to time. And of utmost importance, if you're going to a con and you go to a vendor to buy something from a vendor, and I've said this before on here, and if you're going, it's much rarer in the flea market, but it's not totally unheard of, ask them if they have a business card. Because if you end up buying a game that's got disc rot, or there's one of the transistors is broke off inside the cart and the cart won't play, it would behoove you to be able to contact the person so you can ship the game back to them and get their money back. I had to do that recently because I bought a copy of Legend of Mana for PS1, got it home, and none of our systems would read it. So I shipped it back to the guy, and he was like, "Well, you're sure right. It ain't working for us either. Here's your $50 back." J-Chip, he basically used them for a free commercial. That's what he did. And that's why I don't like watching that episode, because I know the whole time I'm watching it, they're being used. I got to get up early, so I'm signing out. Peace. I leave you my peace I give you. Blessings and good health to you, 7th and 8th. Thank you, Catholic. We'll see you next time. J-Chip, one of my favorite Chaser episodes was the 3rd Toy Chaser episode. I'm not a toy guy, but that store and that owner was really cool and full of charisma. I know the one you're talking about. I think it's called Toy Station 10 or something like that. It's an older guy that's a smart ass. I'd like to go to that store, but it's like in South Oklahoma, so it's a good ways for me. But I'd like to go to that store, I'd like to go up to Fort Worth and meet up with Jay and go to that store just so I could interact with that guy. Not necessarily to buy a bunch of stuff, but just to interact with that dude. I think that'd be fun. Toy Base 10, I think is the name of it. Toy Base 10. Also would have liked to have been able to go to that game trading post that was in Arkansas. I mean, I know the guy reopened a new smaller store, but I would have liked to have gone to that store back when they were like gushing over how it was their favorite game place. Because man, they got some hellacious deals in that store. God, if I had been able to go to that store in Arkansas, my collection would probably be at least a third bigger than it is now. I would have so much more stuff right now. It'd be crazy. Because, knowing how that store was, I wouldn't have gone in there with, $100 in my pocket like they've done, or, a couple of $100. Oh, no. Back then, I had more money to spend. I would have walked in there with a cool grand, and I would have walked out with an entire box full of stuff every time I went there. Not now, though. Not now. Nope. Nope. Oh, well. Oh, well. Times change. Money changes. Like I told you earlier, nope. You're never safe. Never rest on your laurels. Never assume that, all right, now I've got firm ground to stand in. No. No. Always be prepared for the next disaster to happen. Because it's going to happen. You just don't know when and to what degree. So don't be like me. Don't assume, now I can rest easy. No, you can never rest easy. Not when you're a homeowner. And not when you're a car owner. You always got to be ready for the next fustercluck to hit. And I was not ready, and I got hit by several of them in a row. Oh, man. So right now, I'm in stay the course mode. Keep paying down my bills, make it to the next raise, make it to the next bonus, take a big chunk out, make it to the next raise, make it to the next bonus, take another big chunk out. That's the mode that I'm in right now. Have you ever been into any flight, arcade, or sim games? No. Do you have any stories of intense haggling for toys or games? Really, the only one that comes to mind is how I ended up getting that Panzer Dragoon Saga for $50. And that was just that, the guy had a box of stuff. He was wanting to sell it off to make a quick buck. And I spotted it in there. And I told him, I'll tell you what. I said, I'll give you $25 for that game. And he's like, 100. I said, I'll give you 50 for that game. And he said, sold. It was worth about $500 or $600 at the time. Now it's worth over $1,000. Is what it is. What it is, what it is. Okay, that's nothing important. That's nothing important. What kind of disaster are you talking about? Financial disasters. Your air conditioner stops working. Your water heater stops working. Your refrigerator stops working. They find cracks in your foundation because the house wasn't built properly. That kind of stuff. I'm not as aggressive of a haggler as Jay. I'll come in and I'll lowball because I actually have a higher price in mind. But I won't lowball as low as Jay does. So usually I'll ask for a price that's maybe 30% lower than what I'm actually wanting to pay. And so then they'll quote a much higher, and then I'll say, well, how about the actual price that I want to pay? And usually I get it. What's your favorite physics aspect of playing video games? For example, I like it when you make your character run, then you get to perform a longer jump. That's a pretty specific question. I like a game that has really, really good, sharp gun physics. I'm playing a game like Doom or Uncharted. That's just got really, and well, maybe not Uncharted 3. You had to switch to classic aiming for that to be worth a crap. But for the most part, the Uncharted games, it's just how right it feels to, go to your over the shoulder and pop, pop, pop. I really enjoy that. It's very gratifying. I would never live nowhere near a town that's located near an area prone to be hit by tornadoes. Well, I hate to tell you this, Brother Natural, but nowadays that's pretty much everywhere. Except for the West Coast. California, Oregon, Washington State. maybe a little bit farther inland like Nevada. Everywhere else, you are no longer safe, sir. Because Tornado Alley is slowly shifting to the east. So now it's, instead of hitting the Great Plains as much, it's now hitting the Midwest and the Southeast, and in some cases the Northeast. And you're having way more deaths there too. Because when they form, so for example, in like Mississippi, Louisiana, Florida, Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee, they're causing more deaths. And it's because when they form there, they tend to form at night instead of during the day, like in the Great Plains. And they tend to be a lot faster in their movement. And so there's less warning time. And so more people are getting killed by those than the tornadoes that you see in Texas. Like the one that hit here 2 years ago, there were no deaths, just minor injuries. Happened in the late afternoon. But, you know, Texas is getting slowly safer because all of that is just pushing to the east. Because the dry line is shifting to the east. And so now you're seeing a lot more deadlier tornadoes in both damage and in quantity showing up east of Texas and east of Oklahoma and Kansas and what have you. So now you're getting tornadoes in Chicago, you're getting tornadoes in Ohio, you're getting tornadoes in Kentucky and Tennessee when there didn't used to hardly ever be any there, and so on and so forth. You know, Tennessee got tornadoes when I was a kid, but it was a very rare thing compared to what it's like now. Now they get hit by several a year. Shifting east. So, unless you live on the West Coast, Brother Natural, sleep with one eye open, son. What do you value more in a special move? Its utility or its power? Its usefulness. Its usefulness. There's one thing that I hate is when you unlock an ability that is only useful in under very, very specific circumstances. I hate that crap. 3 years ago, I almost lost my entire gaming collection in my bedroom from my ceiling collapsing from heavy rain that collected on my roof due to unknown debris clogging up the downspouts. Wow. Well, we haven't had that problem. And plus, my roof is heavily sloped in almost every spot. So there's not really a place for water to collect on the roof of my house. I mean, you can see my ceiling up here. It's a downward slope. The only place on the house that has a flat roof is over the section that 8th lives in upstairs. It has a flat roof. The rest of the roof is slanted. Kind of like the Poltergeist house. If you've ever watched Poltergeist, remember how one part above the garage had a flat roof and everything else was slanted downwards on the other side? That's what my house looks like. In fact, the design of this house is kind of similar to the Poltergeist house, except for the fact that I don't have, like, you know, a big winding staircase that has no structure underneath it. You know, I have a straight line staircase right there. But other than that, the general layout of this house is quite similar to the layout in that movie Poltergeist. Yups. Uh, 10 minutes left, folks. 10-minute warning. At the time, home insurance did not cover natural disasters. I know that's a problem with the plan that you signed up for. You know, in Texas, you pretty much have to have tornado coverage and hurricane coverage and what have you, flooding coverage. Pretty much have to have all that. It's just the big difference is it's not like Florida where you have to, buy all this extra stuff to get covered for it. It's just you have to have it. And so it's included in the plans. I could get far cheaper insurance than what I have now. I currently go through Geico for my homeowner's insurance, which is actually through a third party that they contract the stuff through. But it's pretty comprehensive coverage. I could go with another company and get far cheaper, but it wouldn't be as valuable as far as like protecting the asset of the house. Looks like Shady J is live now too. First time in a long time. He hasn't streamed in a good long while. That's interesting. That is interesting. Why don't you go over there real quick? Tell him 7th says hello. I only got 10 minutes left anyway. 10 minutes left. Y'all can't tell me it ain't the greatest dopamine rush when you beat a game and then 3 trophies achievements pop. Well, I do enjoy it, but I can't say it's the best dopamine rush. I've had sex. I'm not saying you haven't, Clean Frame. I'll go tell him when you end your stream. Okay. Now the inside of my ear is itching. I wonder if that's a side effect of this Monjaro, that I get weird little itching fits in places I'm not used to having them. I'm not used to the inside of my ear itching. Now I'm not used to my belly above my belly button itching. I wonder if that's a side effect of Monjaro. I don't know. 8-minute warning, folks. 8-minute warning. If y'all got questions left, you better get them in now. Thought I heard my phone buzz, but it wasn't my phone. Whatever it was. I'll do like Michael Scott. I declare bankruptcy! See if that helps. I wouldn't want to go that route because many, many years ago, before 8th was born, I'd already had to declare bankruptcy once. Ex-wife had maxed out a bunch of credit cards and I couldn't afford to pay them, so I filed for bankruptcy to wipe them out. So, not something that I would want to have to go through again. Because nowadays it's even harder to do that than it was, 24 years ago. My neck. I'm having back pain, neck pain, and butt pain. That's what I go through to entertain you. Ow. 5-minute warning, folks. 5-minute warning. Ooh. The time has almost come. Good God. Oh. Oh, oh! What do you want? Can't you see I'm streaming? Not important. Not important again. 7th, is there certain YouTubers to stay away from? Weird question to ask, but I always get bombarded with, hey, you shouldn't talk to them because of this or that, especially around the Game Chasers. None that I know of. I have not run into any bad YouTubers that were associated with the Game Chasers. Not so far. And I've been associated with them for over 10 years now. Did you like any of the Game Historian vids? Yes, I did. Yes, I did. I watched pretty much every episode he made. Met him a couple of times. He came out to Retropalooza a couple of times. He's a lot taller than he looks in his videos. Nice guy, though. Nice guy. The next con is next May in Houston. Okay, good. That's all I want to know. Oh. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. I am in such tremendous pain. Oh. It's going to be ibuprofen time tonight, sweethearts. Good God. I'll be glad when I get the remaining 127 pounds off of me, because I'm sure it's going to do wonders for my back. Do you go to Greg's show? I think it's called Culture Shock. I don't know anything about a show. That's the name of his store down in Houston, Culture Shock. And he has a con called Culture Shock, but I haven't been to it. What are you going to play after this? How fast can 7th get to sleep? That's what I'm going to play. Probably watch some Office until I pass out. Sounds like a plan. Sounds like a plan. I mean, I might play a little bit of Circle of the Moon. But for the most part, I'm probably just going to watch The Office till I fall asleep. I like it in video games after a while when you beat a side quest or something, you get an item that shows secrets on the map. That video game trope or mechanic, do you? Well, if you've been watching me long enough, you know that one of my favorite types of games are games where I have to walk around on a big open map exploring and finding stuff. So, you know, when I'm playing a game and I unlock a new portion of the map that I couldn't get to before, whether it's a big open world game or a Metroidvania, then yeah, I'm all about that. I am all about that. That's why so many people hated Castlevania 2 Simon's Quest, but at the time that it came out, it was my favorite one in the whole thing. I really liked Simon's Quest because I was able to, like, you know, go around and look for stuff and find ways to get into places I couldn't get into before. I mean, it's a Metroidvania and everything except for the fact that it doesn't have a map screen. What's the best episode besides Scott's Tots? I don't remember which one it is now, but I really like the one that starts with the parkour. Parkour, parkour, parkour. I am not saying it's the best episode, but I really like that one. In some of the later episodes, I wasn't as big into it because once their baby is born, Jim starts to really tone down the pranks on Dwight, because that was my favorite part of the show, was seeing Jim screw with Dwight. And when he started doing that less and less and less, it made it less funny for me. And then, of course, when Michael Scott leaves and Andy is running it, I can't stand Andy. So Andy is like Michael Scott cringe times 10. So, those episodes where it's just him running the show, I'm not as big of a fan of them. I still watch them, but I really felt that show was limping along without, Michael. Anyway, it is 9 o'clock. It's time for me to let y'all go. This is where we say goodbye. Be thinking about all the questions you want to ask me next time around. Hopefully it will be next week, because next weekend is when my vacation starts. So I won't be on call, won't have anything to interrupt, unless something else disastrous happens to this house or I get sick. But otherwise, please think of questions to ask. Please stop by. Same 7th time, same 7th channel.